never know. Here we go.
Okay, hey guys, welcome to the live. Happy Friday? Is it Friday? Yeah, it's Friday. I had to think about that for a second. Get my days mixed up. Anyways, uh, thanks to Alexa last time for being on the live, and she said we could do one tomorrow. So I'm not sure what time. So I'll wait for her to message back. But thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to hit the like and the share if you guys could. Keep Jack and Lily's story, of course, out in the algorithm, and it's very much appreciated. Any of the cases that for the missing and the murdered, right? Sad cases, but it's always important to keep it out there. I remember actually seeing something, was it last night or this morning? Can't remember now, to be honest with you. But where a mother just put so much effort into, keeping the story out there. And well, I don't know, kind of seems to lack from Malaya's side on that part for sure. But anyways, you guys, thank you for joining. And just quickly, and then of course you guys, obviously Charmaine just came off her live. I was in that one for all of it, actually. Well, no, yeah, pretty much all of it. I think I came in within 10 minutes or something of it starting. Hello, Sharon Parker. Hi, little black bear. Much love to you, Sunny. Thank you. Member for 3 months. Appreciate that. Thank you, guys. And Sharon Parker, TJZ Mom. Hello, hello. Hi, Badettes. Tambourine. Great to see you guys. Grey Wolf's in the house. Tom Lou. Hello, mods and everybody. And let's see here. Justice for Jack and Lily. Hi, Sunny and mods. You were in Charmaine's. Well, you guys, I think most of you were. Leslie Donovan. Hello, welcome, welcome. And Nurse is in the house. Marie Antoinette's in the house. Okay, so I didn't know it until probably like the next day when I think I was watching something, and then I heard someone say that Daniel was on Charmaine's channel. So I went and looked, and I was like, and obviously it was like not a plan, but then Daniel had come up there again on Charmaine's channel to talk. And the theory of Daniel's, about organized professionals and stuff, like, I'll play it, what he said. And then I would really like to talk about that. Little bit of the audio from Plunder True Crime, with the 8 a.m. Timeline of Jack and Lily. And, I'm all for, of course, looking, at whatever, right? That makes sense. When it comes to just my own personal thoughts, of a case. I think when Daniel said his thoughts now, I was like, wait, what? Like, what? Like thinking about it. And I'm just like, no, just no. So, of course, I plunk it into AI, what he said, right? And then I just asked for, thoughts on that scenario. So that's what we're going to do in a second here. But anyways, just a clapping seal. Thanks for being here. Mods, thank you. He's planning on going on shenanigans as well. I thought I couldn't tell if I vaguely heard that. I mean, I thought what came out of his mouth was he would never go on her channel, but whatever, I mean, at the end of the day, what fills in time more than drama, or added, stuff to the case. Whatever is what I gotta say, I stopped even entertaining even a little bit of a POS channel. I just find it's like watching two useless tits on a bull. And I just find it just a waste of my brain cells, to be honest with you. Thanks. But I mean, each to their own, regardless, what they do, but each to their own what I choose to watch and deem is just a bunch of, you know, too egotistical people that are so inflated. Um, it's just pointless, to be honest to me. I don't need the information from Anita. We've had enough people on this channel from family members and that talking, and now it's just like even it's just really a lot of regurgitated shit. And I don't think that anything. I don't even believe in Anita, like meaning she's after listening to her like a few more times. Uh, honestly, I would take her with a very much a grain of salt. Um, her information is not vital. Mike, it's so vital. It's Mikey, it's vital. Fuck off. It's not vital. And then when you mix it with a bunch of BS that she says, that's all it becomes. It's just a bunch of words that really have no impact, at least on me anyway. On there. Anita and Janie were on MDN at the same time. Oh my God, hair. Oh, I had to leave as well. When I even watched that, between the two of them, I just literally I'm not even kidding, because I was about to do a live and I actually postponed it a little bit just so I could hear a little bit more. And honestly, I literally I don't get headaches very often, but I literally had such a headache between listening to the two of them. I don't know why Janie entertained it. It almost comes off like watching a stupid reality show, in a sense. I don't know why Janie even bothered to entertain, to defend herself, in a sense. But hey, you know what? It made for more drama, unfortunately, in the sake of two missing children. Um, like a showdown of the fucking voices, pretty much. I don't have a life anymore. Yeah, well, I have a little bit of a life. Remind me who is Anita. Some friend, some so-called friend of Cindy's that decided she wanted to be a voice, um, and thought that POS's channel was that he was like, honestly, they're probably a carbon copy of each other, to be honest with you. They're so they're so full of themselves. I don't know, like, I'm just gonna say this though, because whenever somebody has to keep telling people how beautiful they are, Anita, um, like, do you have insecurity issues or something for how many times you always say how basically good looking you are and how awesome you are and stuff like that, you know? And, Mike always talking about his inflated ego there, but that's whatever, right? But I always raise an eyebrow when they must have such insecurity problems or such a self-inflated ego to literally just keep telling us how beautiful she believes that she is. Well, you know what? Beauty um, is only skin deep and ugly is right to the bone. And like I said, so uh, no judgment on her on regardless of whatever she feels like her looks are. But I have an older sister and I call her Satan. So she has a different dad than we do, but we didn't know that for like until I was like 12 years old. Anyways, Satan, aka my sister Paula, self-inflated ego. Um, she reminds me of an Amber Turd from the Johnny Depp case. She reminds me of a female version of Donald Trump. And it's just one of those things, is that no matter what this might look like, she's fucking ugly to the bone. And that's the thing, right? Is that it's what's inside that counts the most. So you can portray all you want how beautiful you are, but if you're going to do all this nasty shit and stuff like that, and again, whenever somebody's such an like narcissistic, like my older sister, and she's just so full of herself and so full of her own shit, and she always has to tell everyone how pretty she is and stuff like that, it just really shows you what self-esteem that they lack in themselves truly behind that frontal and shit like that. And I never care about that shit. Mike made a comment on his channel as he was bashing Charmaine, and just saying, I don't make comments about Sunny's weight or looks. I'm just here to look for the information. Thank you, bless you, thank you so much, douchebag. But anyways, don't care. Literally would have to care. Look in the mirror much, by the way. Popcorn kettle block on that one. But anyways, but it's just like, I just want the information. I just want this. This is what I want. Oh, so you got to trash everyone just to, first and foremost, as you're using their stuff from their lives and stuff like that. And I just find that just so pathetic, to be honest. But anyway, so I stopped watching him. Don't care. Don't give a fuck about either of those two. They can go fucking fly a kite for all I care. Fuck off. Take a short walk off, or I should say a long walk off a short pier. I guess that's the saying on there. But anyway, so done with watching either of, like, listening to her voice, listening to his voice. Because again, if you just kind of can't use people's content and play nice, or just be nice about it and stuff like that. And let me remind you, Mike, is that it was not an interview with Haley. Haley asked for that live. I did not ask her. She asked me. And the whole live was only about the voice clips. It wasn't about asking her any questions. Do you understand that? It wasn't about sitting there trying to interview someone, because that's not what she wanted. So I respected the wishes, and the live was just about the voice clips. Got it, dude? Okay, moron. If you listen to actually a live instead of too busy bashing me all the time, and listen with your fucking ears, then maybe you would get somewhere. But whatever. Anyways, just done listening to those two. Useless as two tits on a bowl, like I said. Don't care. But anyways, hi, Carrie Bailey. How are you? Again, Leslie Donovan's in the house. Baby Monkey. Leanne, thank you. Everyone's on a roll today. I have 3 sisters. I used to call them my blisters when we were young, up until I learned about herpes and I stopped. That's funny. All right. All that in a bag of something. Trailer park. That's what it reminds me, Trailer park. Trailer park boys. I watch all of them. Yeah, I used to watch them all too, actually. Repeats and all that stuff. It's like the Trailer Park Boys meet the real world. That's why, the thing behind this all that I will say is that 2 children are missing, right? And instead of truly talking about Jack and Lily in a lot of ways, it's just a bunch of drama. Like I said, why? I mean, Janie can do whatever she wants, but like, why even entertain that, right? You're just adding fuel to the fire. But hey, whatever. It's like fucking LOL entertainment type of stuff. But yet, it's about 2 children missing, and that's what makes it all pathetic, right? Here, let's just keep bashing channels. Then Anita comes along and just starts targeting everybody, calling them out. Then she backtracks on her words and stuff like that. And it's just like, lady, I can't even listen to you anymore, because obviously, like I said, it's like the kid that cried wolf, when it's like, when you kind of go past that moment where you're trying to bring out information and then you turn it into even more of a circus, and you're an attention seeker. Get off your fucking high horse. And like I said, beauty is only skin deep, but ugly's to the bone. All right. Angela, watch. You'll see who Anita is. Save yourself. But anyway, my sister inflated her ego by telling people how horrible. Right. I only found out things she said, and to so many people after she got sick. Guess who's taking care of her? Right, CB. I crazy gal. Okay, thank you guys. So let's get into it now, you guys. Um, absolutely. If there's one thing I hone in on ever since I was a kid, it's people that are narcissistic, um, that are fakes, and try to present themselves. It's like my sonar just sees right through you. Ever since I've been a kid, it's just like bullshit. Yeah, whatever. I might not get it right all the time, but I'm damn right close when it comes to always projecting somebody's, aura around them and who they are. And it's just because, I don't know why, like, meaning it was just one of those things. It's just only when I got older that I was like, I really got a knack for this shit. People would always tell me that, actually. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. And I would literally pat myself on the back going, called it again, type of thing. So, but I think in this case, myself, and whoever else believes that, their theory is that it's family involvement and stuff like that. I mean, you know, I think that we're on the right path with this one, and it's just a matter of time, right? No one's, of course, been convicted of anything, but if I were a betting woman, which I am, you know, I'm going to lay state claim to the fact that there's family involvement and knowledge of absolutely knowing what happened to Jack and Lily. The other lines of theories, not only are they very low, and that's why Daniel's theory, about okay, well, you know what? Let's just play it. So it was on Charmaine's channel when Daniel was on there, talking with Charmaine again. Apparently, she said he wasn't deciding not to do anybody's lives. So who knows? Who knows? Whatever. I mean, you know, we'll see. We'll see how, I mean, he stayed away for a while. Probably was best, but to be honest, but I mean, for us, it's like, ooh, more content in a way. But still, unless something hits me and bonks me in the head, I don't see anything different by the actions, by the statistics, and everything like that, that's going on with this case. But anyways, we'll stop, share screen. Let's see. This is we gotta find. Oh, this one right here. Okay, so I'll play this one for a while. Whoops. Boom, 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 boom. I'll make this bigger. And hey, boss man, or hold on a second. Bradley, have you been behaving badly lately? No. Oh, by the way, I asked Brad today because I saw someone put it in the chat. I think her name was another Cheryl S. Said she had heard that Brad Wong took a polygraph test. So I was like, well, let me just message Brad. And Brad's like, absolutely not. Okay, so that rumor, can stop. I'm sure Boss Man would absolutely had told me if he actually took a polygraph for that. So, anyways, people say a lot of stuff all the time, and if we can try to squash a rumor and stuff like that, then we'll do so. But anyways, Brad, great to see you. Say hi to your wife, Mary. I hope she had a happy Mother's Day recently. I know Father's Day is coming up as well. And nice to always see you, buddy. But anyway, okay. So 1 second. Let's see here. Yeah. Oops. Why did I do that? Let's go this. Okay. So this is. Did I make it bigger? No.
There's so many people who want to know, Daniel, what you believe happened. They want to know if you still believe the children are alive, and if you're willing to give a little bit of speculation of what you think could have happened.
I'm guessing it sounds like they want the theory that I have, and if you want, I will,
What makes the most sense to you in your head? Like, I understand that you don't want to throw out accusations, but you have to think about it day in and day out. I would think, what do you believe? If you believe the kids are still alive, what do you believe? What makes the most sense to you?
I will tell you exactly what I told investigators last time I talked to them. And I said, it's been over a year. Me and Malaya, we've been fully investigated. And I said after a year, like, this is what I had to come to the absolute realization of. And at this point, like, if Malaya's not involved, I don't know what Major Crimes knows, right? So I can't speak on their behalf or what they know. But I believe it is criminal 100% at this point. And I believe that it was either, I believe it was professionals at this point, or somebody with the knowledge to commit a crime that's done this stuff before, and they got away with it for now. But eventually they will get caught, and I hope they do. But it's where I come from. This standpoint is there must have been some person or some organization of some kind of human traffickers that knew me and Malaya's routine. They stalked us. They knew everything we do. And the kids were home from school. They, somehow knew that. And then they took the kids, and then they must have had an individual or a group of individuals plant the blanket up there at the perfect time. Because Charmaine, you know how much balls it would take in a missing person's, with two missing children missing, and then plant a blanket up the road. The person must have had some serious balls to undertake that when there's helicopters in the air, drones, and hundreds of searchers and law enforcement and my family driving around and, neighbors that help search. That must have been, that was a really ballsy move to plant the blanket and, get it from the property and plant it up there at the perfect time, and then you can get away with it. It leaves, this crazy conspiracy type ordeal. But like at this point, I believe, if Malaya and her family aren't behind it, then that's the only other logical, theory to come up with, or something that I can run by you.
There was a question earlier, and I forgot to highlight it, but do you...
Okie dokie. So obviously you guys have your own brain cells to use on what you choose to believe or what you don't when it comes to this case, regardless. At the end of the day, Charmaine can speak for herself. She's just letting Daniel speak. She asked, a question was asked in chat there, and he answered. And it's quite, this is what I personally see, just my own thoughts, is Little Bear, was it Little Bear? Thank you for the $1.49 super chat. Colleen, thank you for being a member for 9 months. And Leslie, thank you for becoming a member. And Little Black Bear, 3 months on there. So again, it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, the bottom line is we just want answers for Jack and Lily. And whatever bullshit we have to listen to in the meantime and in between time from whatever is being said by anyone, or whatever, right? It's just waiting for RCMP to come along at some point during this case and give us those answers to what happened to Jack and Lily. So in AI, I said, Daniel believes now that professional child traffickers stalk their property. Watch the children. Do I need to put on my freaking old lady glasses? Maybe, because I'm on my iPad. Yeah, that's better when I'm up close. Okay. Computer range, perfectly fine. Up close, yeah. I'll be turning 57 July 3rd, people. All right. Unfortunately, the eye starts going on. Yeah, sometime in your 40s, and freaking a woman's body pretty much drops. You know, one day I'm probably gonna be in diapers when I started in diapers, and need those Depends or something like that too at some point. Anyway, putting on the glasses. Okay. So Daniel believes now that professional child trackers stalk their property, watch the children's every move, and then had the balls to also plant a blanket. Your take on this theory is what I asked AI. Now, of course, Haley, I guess you got balls, because Daniel has constantly said that you've planted the blanket. But anyways, so it says, when evaluating the theory presented by Daniel Martell, the stepfather, that professional child traffickers stalked the rural property, monitored the children's movements, and deliberately planted a blanket in a tree to mislead investigators, an analyst or investigative analyst would break it down using behavioral logic, statistical data, and operational realities. While a theory is evaluated when two children vanish without a trace, analysts look heavily at the mechanics of a crime. Their specific theory presents several severe logical and behavioral contradictions. Hi, everyone. Make sure you guys hit the like and the share if you haven't already. Okay, so the realities of child trafficking versus stranger abduction. And this is based on, like I said, his theory. The biggest issue an analyst would point out is that the narrative conflates organized child trafficking with stranger abduction. The reality of trafficking: criminal networks that traffic children almost exclusively target vulnerable youth through systematic exploitation, grooming, cyber luring, or runaways. They do not typically operate like military strike teams, stalking isolated rural properties in Nova Scotia to snatch a 4 and 6-year-old simultaneously out of a yard. The statistical anomaly: a double stranger abduction of two young children siblings simultaneously from their own home is one of the rarest events in modern criminology. Abductors operate opportunity and minimizing risk. Managing two young, uncooperative children at once in broad daylight dramatically multiplies their risk of detection. The stalking and surveillance contradiction. The theory suggests traffickers watched the property and knew the family moves. The geographic barrier. The property on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne is described as isolated, surrounded by dense woods, steep banks, and thick brush. To effectively stalk the property without being noticed, strangers would have to navigate or stake out the rugged wilderness. The scent dog counter evidence. If professionals were lurking in the immediate woods, police tracking dogs and human remains detection dogs, which searched a massive 40-kilometer radius, would almost certainly have picked up a distinct foreign human scent trails, footprints, broken brush, or vehicle staging areas. None were found. The planted blanket behavior. The idea that their perpetrators intentionally planted a piece of Lily's blanket in a tree introduces a massive behavioral red flag known as unnecessary staging. Criminal economy of action. Real offenders want to get away cleanly and as quickly as possible. Every second an abductor spends on or near the crime scene planting evidence increases their chances of being caught, leaving behind their own DNA, or dropping a clue. Why stage a blanket? If an abductor wanted to make it look like the children wandered into the woods, leaving a blanket piece doesn't benefit them. It simply guarantees that search teams will concentrate heavily on the exact spot, which increases the police presence right where the abductor operated. In behavioral analysis, staging is far more commonly associated with someone trying to redirect suspicion away from the home rather than an anonymous stranger. Psychological comfort and external threat narrative. From a psychological perspective, a profiler or analyst would look at why someone close to the case might lean heavily into a complex, highly organized conspiracy theory like professional traffickers, deflecting realities. When an unspeakable tragedy happens, human psychology often seeks an external monster, an organized, unbeatable enemy, to explain away a situation where the alternative options, an accidental death in the woods due to a brief lapse in supervision or domestic foul play, are too horrific to legally legally damaging to face. So full or explanatory gap. Because of the initial 8.5 square kilometers grid search yielded little, the theory of professionals who left with no trace naturally fills the vacuum of missing answers. What an analyst would conclude. An analyst would likely view this theory as highly implausible. Professional traffickers do not operate this way. The operational risk required to pull off a daytime double abduction from a rural homestead, complete with unnecessary theatrical touches like planting fabric in trees, defies standard offender behavior. Instead of a behavioral analysis, would redirect focus back to the core data, the tightly compressed 20-minute timeline on the morning of May 2nd, the behavior of the family dog who didn't bark at intruders, and the inconsistencies in the statement regarding the hours leading up to the 911 call. Let's see. For an expert evaluation of how I'm presented this case, okay, you can watch Global News report on the 1-year anniversary on there. Okay. So to me, it just goes without saying, like, for me, it's just misdirection, right? Everything that points away from the home and to this ulterior motive. Obviously Daniel or Malaya or even Janie for that matter, aren't willing going to be like, you know what, we lied the entire time. You're right. We had something to do with the children. You know what? Me, Daniel planted the blanket in the trees and stuff like that. So it's like this is kind of like a level to me of just like this theory. It's just a level of ridiculousness of that some professionals not only stalked the property, knew that Jack and Lily were going to be home. They scouted it out, and then because they want to obviously be caught, they go and plant a blanket to misdirect, Daniel does always talk about, well, of course his DNA is going to be on the blanket, and like kind of when Charmaine was playing that kill jester, even he called Daniel a narcissist. Am I wrong? Don't think so. But, and it's because, again, it's just always these key things to me that just, state that always it's Haley did it. Haley planted the blanket. Malaya's family, and I still will always think of those words of she's trying to blame everything on me so she doesn't get in trouble, to me, that is just a huge red flag of something that Daniel, to me, was trying to say, and then change the reasoning behind it is my personal intake on that. But anyways, I guess when I heard him like saying this theory, it just was so outlandish. Like, I was listening to everything that he was saying, and it's just so outlandish, right? Brad, you've been blamed, blaming everyone and not taking responsibility. That's how it just comes across to me at all. And Jackson says, notice how Daniel has zero curiosity. The parent of a truly missing kid would be grasping for straws, not closing any books, keeping all possibilities active, would still be searching. I just, what I felt like, I felt like out of all theories, that this has to be one of the most astronomically ridiculous, low probabilities that I ever heard. And I'm like, sorry, Daniel, but I was like, where did you come up with this shit? Did you ask AI to give you another scenario of that? Because it's ridiculous to think that, it's the whole thing of it, right? It's Janie didn't go into town that day. The kids that supposedly never, ventured or on the property or around it unless they were supervised, managed to open this door. Like, when it just stacks up, it's just like, do, 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 do. Oh, like a full tier manure pile has happened. And that's what it feels like. Like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. All this stuff happened, that normally didn't happen. It reminds me of Sebastian Rogers' case. Same thing, same exact, rodeo on that one. So Ron went to town that day, right? Took his mom in, kids are missing. I'm just gonna go into town for a bit, be back later. It's, the absurdity of it all is what gets me. From Malaya's interview to Malaya's lack of, being there for her kids. Like, don't even get me started on that, because I would go up one side of her fucking ass and down the other when it comes to a mother of 2 children. And it's just so selfish to me, when people put themselves in front of their own children about that. Like I said, doesn't have to be on social media here. Doesn't have to be on YouTube streams, right? But she never used her social media to sit there besides like that one day going, she wanted an Amber Alert. And she hasn't been vocal on the news just to say, you know what, whenever the news has the opportunity, wouldn't you think that you would be there taking the opportunity? So then you ask yourself, well, why is Daniel doing it? But again, it all could just be a huge guise, right? Trying to project, and, one, you know what I mean? It's just, again, I know Daniel can say whatever he wants and we can say whatever we want. I mean, it's their life, their case, and, the truth will lie right there, just like Occam's razor, like we always talk about, and is there one person that actually thinks that Daniel's theory is plausible? Yes. 1 for yes, 2 for no. It was one of those things that you can't help but almost talk about it in a live, because of just how ridiculous that all sounded. And I'm just like, where did you even come up with that? But the thing is, if you're going to give a theory like that, at least make it make sense. At least make it sound plausible. That, right, that it even, like, I don't think he thought about all the contradictions to him saying that, when he said it. I mean, I'm glad he said his theory. Again, at the end of the day, like I said, it really just boils down to RCMP giving us answers for Jack and Lily, and from the start to now, it's like whatever you want to believe or not believe is totally up to you guys, but I just feel like the blanket is a sure sign of this being a criminal case. I think everyone understands that, mostly, that this truly is a criminal case. I mean, even Daniel said it himself. But, and it's just coded underneath missing persons for the reasons, obviously, that they would, do this, because it keeps it more open and stuff like that. But I think everyone is realistic to believe that, Jack and Lily's case is criminal in nature, and it's just a matter of where the true truth lies with what happened to Jack and Lily. Um, uh, you believe his theory? Well, there's always got to be one in the bunch. I guess that's you, Maria. uh, when I became single parent 39 years ago, I have not been in a relationship since. Lonely, yes, but my kids came first. Yeah. That's the hard part of all this, being a mother, and just watching what we've seen in this case that's turned into quite the circus, which a lot of these cases do. Like, nothing shocks me with what's going on. I remember even with Belinda, I would say, look, Belinda, this is going to happen, type of idea. Oh, 1 second. That's my husband. 1 sec. All right. Sorry, guys. Oh, there goes my husband. He just brought me in. He made nachos, nacho cheese. Autumn infuriates me, both out living their lives at Autumn. Yeah, right. Well, and I mean, again, this is again my own personal opinion. I could never imagine entertaining a relationship while two children are missing. That would be the last fucking thing on my brain, is to literally involve myself in a relationship and going through all the, fuzzy moments and all that shit while my two fucking kids are missing. And I don't even give like a slight for Daniel, because he's the one that's out there trying to portray the most, that he's doing the most for Jack and Lily on there. um I just, it just be on me. But I mean, people will do the damnedest fucking things, when it comes to what we think people should do and what some people actually do, you know. But I think a very level-headed, even-keeled person that has two children missing, um, absolutely he's not going to sit there and entertain relationships during the children missing. Now, if we're talking like years down or something like that, a couple years and stuff like that, and you know and something like that, you kind of can, okay, right? I mean, how long is somebody supposed to wait, and if something happens? But I could never imagine, even the first year, entertaining a relationship at all, to be honest. My focus would be solely on my children and trying to find answers. And yeah, so that's my personal opinion on there too. um One of the things I walked a little bit away from, um, on from that live, with Daniel on it. And, I mean, he has his own right to say whatever he wants, and I do too. But I felt like there was quite a bit of preachiness about, you know, um, it just reminded me of like, as if like someone was taking a yoga class and giving like Buddhism, about how one's mindset should be, positivity, and like it's almost like yeah, like when somebody, it's just like being very preachy about things, and you're like, but who are you to really give advice to people? Like, fix yourself, whatever it is that's going on in your life. Um, but it just comes off as very preachy, like, a lot lately, and about, you know, one's, health. Like I said, take care, like Malaya, Daniel, whatever, take care of you guys' shit, right? Absolutely. But, it's like, well, you can't think negativity, and like me and Charmaine both say, right? But being true crime, follow these cases, you know. Yeah, you're hopeful, but I mean, we're realistic no matter what. At the end of the day, it becomes about realism, type of thing. But I don't know. I just found it quite preachy a bit, about how, like, do you want to hear about the scent dogs? because I can tell you all about the scent dogs. If I want to hear about scent dogs, I would really rather listen to somebody that actually is a scent dog handler than just kind of reading AI as if I have all this knowledge about scent dogs and stuff like that. And it's just the way it came across, right? And then it has been. Oh wait, 1 second. Yeah, it's a cat. I don't know. She's already out. I already let her out, honey. Yeah, Montana. She's a whiny little cat. She always wants daddy. Baby monkey. Yeah, she's just moving on with life. Again, I mean, I'm just calling it how I personally see it myself, and I have the right to, just like you guys have the right to voice your opinions about how you feel about this case, or how we feel about Daniel or Malaya or Janie or anyone, I mean, thing is, kids disappeared from their property, and it only goes without saying that the closest people to the children are absolutely going to be underneath scrutiny. Now, there's been many cases out there where a parent didn't have nothing to do with their child's disappearance and stuff like that as well, right? But they get accused, which is kind of, I just want to say it's typical, because sometimes people just come across looking like they're just liars, because they're nervous or whatever the reasons. In this case though, I don't feel like I'm wrong myself on this one. I mean, if I am, I am. But I don't feel like I am. It's just my opinion. How about coconut banana cream pie, Sonny? Shut the fuck up, okay? Numb. Shh. No, I'll have the nachos first, and then you can send me some. Coconut. That's a good word. Coconut cream pie. Okay. I am gonna scroll down. Justin usually gets a few sticking up for Daniel and Maya, but he's usually good to say something. Hey Shannon. Okay. So I'm just gonna go play a part of Plunders from kind of like the timeline. Hi Deborah. Sunny, do you think D&M were so high that night that they forgot about the kids, left them in Daniel's car outside in the freezing cold, and then discovered them? It's a thought, but that's the picture for me personally that I'd like to know. Did the children, like, if any of that's true, but did the children get into the drugs? Was Daniel so pissed off at Malaya? When Daniel says that he didn't know Malaya was thinking of leaving him, I don't believe that at all, because we already know, right? And in the documents or whatever, when Malaya says that Daniel would hold her down for the phone because she wanted to call her mom, basically, because, those were basically her saying, I'm sick of this shit. Blah, I want to get out of here, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe in that at all. I think that reminds me a little bit. Love you too, Shannon. I think that reminds me a bit of Barry Morphew, when he acted like he didn't know that his wife that Suzanne Morphew was cheating on him, and that, like, she had this spy pen. I think that's exactly like, if you can't have, if I can't have you, nobody's going to have you. And he took her life. And, I mean, he hasn't been charged. He's going to be going on trial. Right? He was charged once they had a kind of like pull back on that. And then now he's being charged. I mean, Barry Morphew, the little tranquilizer, little cap that was in the dryer. And then you were trying to claim the fucking gophers, as you're pinging around the house. And then that shit's in Suzanne's bones, when they finally did find her body and stuff. But I feel like that's just like I don't believe Daniel. He is a keeper. He is a keeper. But that's what I feel about Daniel when he says that he didn't know that Malaya was, yeah, trust me, it doesn't come out of thin air. Any female knows that it's not like it just happens like, oh, I'm leaving you, type of thing. Obviously, there's shit going on in the relationship, and that is leading up to that. And again, for the times that Malaya said she was being held down by Daniel as she was trying to call her mom and stuff like that, And it's because, it just reminds me of that thing when sometimes when a guy pushes things too far, treats us like shit. And then all of a sudden it's like, you sit there and say that you're leaving them and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, they come with their fucking schmoozing ass, to sit there and try to, gaslight you and love bomb you and all of a sudden and stuff like that. Oh, no, Malay, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Right. So I just don't believe that he didn't know that Malaya wanted to leave him. I find that very untruthful, in my opinion. Okay, so let me play that, pull that up. We're going to take that troll off of the screen. I think her name's Charmaine. And I can say that because, Charmaine, you called yourself a troll when you came in there and said, who's that troll on the screen? What do you mean invite guest? Share screen. Okay, wait. This is the one I wanted to go to first. What is this one? And make it bigger. All right. So I'm not going to lie. I'm sit there and I'm going to wolf down some of the nachos that husband made me as I play out some of this video here. All right. So just deal with it. Okay. And so it starts off about the 8 o'clock thing. Okay. And we got
a suspicious vehicle, but it turned out to be nothing suspicious after all.
Okay, so for otherwise, what are the details? Have they been gone in a long time? 0800.
Did I go past it? Hold on.
The address, the last point known.
Member is here on Gairloch Road. We just had a 911 call. Can I go ahead with the details?
Wait, I was trying to remember if I was past this or before this.
So you had a call via 911 from a Karen Ponacau. Kind of about 5 minutes. She was reporting just driving past the black Honda CRV.
I think it was it.
Nova Scotia marker Golf Mike Clock.
Hold on.
Searching.
The last few days have been very stressful.
I'll start it from here.
I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there.
It was good for this dispatcher to advise, make sure mom stays close to the house. Someone has to be there in case, she sees her little ones wandering and she can beckon for them to come to her. Well, this mom left the next day, Saturday, May 3rd. There's a whole lot of drama going on. She left to go to another location. I believe she has a young baby. Her partner has other children. They obviously got into some sort of kerfluffle. There was an incident, apparently Saturday, May 3rd. I even went through a lot of dispatch trying to figure out what happened with this incident. Thus far, on Saturday, I haven't found anything about what the argument was, what the fight was, whatever happened between this couple that caused the woman to skedaddle, to leave her home while her young children are still missing. Daniel's even going to talk about getting interviewed by police. He's going to talk about Malaya blocking him on social media. And so people are like, what is happening during this missing children's case? You would expect the mom and stepdad or her partner to just draw closer together, not farther apart. Some people were wondering, are the police going to announce the arrest of these two? But they didn't. It was a sad, sad presser. But during this search, there have been a lot of different rumors. Everyone turns into a sleuth. Of course, everyone wants to help. There was some rumor about, some foreign men were seen, 2 men, and I guess that's been debunked. And now, even in the dispatch audio, the dispatcher explains a 911 call she received. Someone saw a suspicious vehicle, but it turned out to be nothing suspicious after all.
Okay, so for otherwise, what are the details? Have they been gone in a long time? 0800. The address, the last point known.
Member is here on Gairloch Road. We just had a 911 call. Can I go ahead with the details?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you had a call via 911 from a Karen Ponacau. Kind of about 5 minutes. She was reporting just driving past the black Honda CRV. Nova Scotia marker Golf Mike Fox 320 that left the outdoor recreational park close to the residence. It is permanently closed. Complaint is unsure if related, but it felt a bit strange to her. Driver was a white male around 50 years old, bald with a mustache. And it left from 1480 Gairloch Road. I can send that down to your MWS if it's easier.
So people have their eyes peeled and, they're looking at everyone with suspicion, especially because the parents are inferring potentially that the children were abducted.
We were searching. We covered everywhere possible. Even in the first day we did. Even with me running through the woods, I was ahead of the helicopters and ahead of the drones and stuff like that. Screaming as loud as I can. And just my throat hurt. Running through water that was up to my waist. And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in a military outfit said I could go back into the woods. I hate being wet and cold. So they immediately would have came right back into the house. The only two prints are right beside the house facing the road, and then that's it. Post any officers they can get at the New Brunswick border. PI.
Just quickly though, so that, like I said, they said at 8:00 or whatever, and there's another one we'll come to. But notice he said two prints, that there was two prints facing the road. So I just and whatever. I'm just pointing it out because it's an inconsistency about the one boot print. I guess facing the road. That's on the driveway 10 feet from the Janie's trailer, something like that. But here he says 2 footprints. So I just want to point that out.
I border and get them at every airport possible. Anybody who has any information or you think you've seen something or hear something or any messages from friends about hearing something, just contact your local police services. Anything, guys, anything.
At first, they were wandering the woods. That's the thought process. But now that it's been so long, I guess it's entering the minds of Malia and Daniel. Oh, yes, they really could have been abducted. But it turns out that suspicious vehicle was nothing. So I don't know what's up with this 8:00 this morning. The kids were seen in their bedroom, and they haven't been seen since. And my question is, how did Malia know, the kids sneaked out, opened the sliding glass door, and then were playing outside? And I'm thinking, how did she know after the fact the children were allegedly playing outside if she was drifting in and out of sleep? She said, we found out later the children were playing outside. You could only confirm that, in my opinion, is if someone had spotted the children playing outside around 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. whenever they went missing. Do they have any ring camera footage to prove, we went back and saw that? I haven't found any evidence to say that. In fact, the authorities sound a little frustrated somewhere in this dispatch because one man says, look, they were last seen in their bedroom, last seen at this residence, the residence of Malaya and Daniel. 8:00 this morning, they haven't been seen since. And he's like, I need to, and the audio breaks up so bad. I mean, some of it is horrible, but he's saying, I need to get a good statement and figure this out.
In their bedroom, 8:00 this morning, and they haven't been seen since then. I need to get a good statement and figure stuff out.
And a woman on there says, just so everyone's aware, based on the profile, the children could have traveled at least 6 kilometers. I'm like, whoa, that's quite a long way. Perhaps they could have in that terrain. Maybe the children are used to wandering those woods with their little boots on. But I'm thinking, oh my goodness, a 5K like I used to run is 3.2 miles, a 6K, even longer than that. That sounds like a lot. But today, unfortunately, they are scaling back the search. And if you kind of read between the lines, they're still working the case. Of course, they're still looking for Jack and Lily. They're not going to give up looking for them. But it's sad. The police literally said today, Wednesday, the likelihood that they're alive is very low. It's been 6 days since these young children went missing. At first, it was believed that the children were wandering into the woods, and that's what the police were told. But now I don't know if that's necessarily the case. So Lily is 6. Again, Jack is only 4. It's this Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station.
I'm going to stop it there for a second. Boing, boing, boing. All right. Let's see here. Brandon has been involved since the day the kids went missing and already provided MCU with everything he knows and seen. I think Charmaine pulled up a post there from Monsters of Chaos. I remember very little about his name, to be honest with you. I remember, like, it's been so long about that. I'd like to go read that post again or see what that said again. He's been involved, all right. Got there some quick. Who you talking about for that one, Bossman? Talking about Brand. So so I have to correct myself because I kept saying that on the audio it was heard, but it was last seen in their bedroom, around 8 o'clock. So I just wanted to correct my Brandon. I don't know much about that dude, to be honest. Do you know him at all? Like beyond, like, do you know who Brandon is personally? Brad? I just don't know. Brandon was in was that one of the ones that was those two people that were seen fishing that morning? Is that who? Okay. But anyways, so in the documents, he's a retired vet. Okay. No, I don't. I've never met him. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I just, like I said, only when Charmaine pulled up that thing, I just remember at some point near the start of the case, something about a Brandon or something like that. Couldn't tell you now, to be honest with you. And he said he saw Hayden and Emily coming out of the woods. Don't you think though that their DNA would be on that blanket or something if that's what the kind of perception is that they were coming out of the woods? He is a witness who found items early on. Then he collected the blue blanket. Right, Belinda. Oh, okay. The one Belinda found. Okay. When I read it was Alvin. Yeah, that's all a muck in my head, all that stuff. But anyway, so just quickly going back to that. So like 8 o'clock to 8:30, right? Pretty much. But of course they use the 8 o'clock timeline. But, Malaya is obviously on the phone trying to call her mom at 8:28. As she's claiming that Lily around 8:20 that she saw Lily, right? And then Daniel's making that weird comment of, well, yeah, I think she only saw her once, but I can't say, for sure what she saw and stuff like that. And I'm like, but you two were lying in bed together. Like, so you didn't like that whole timeline of sleeping, not remembering, Daniel avoiding, like it's like he doesn't really want to talk too much about that part because because they both contradict themselves anyway, right? About who woke up and said, who seen who or do you hear the kids, right? And then Daniel made this, attempt on DT show to say to DT, like, do you know how fast Malaya said that? It's just like basically she woke up and went, do you hear the kids? Type of idea. And he was constantly basically pointing at Malaya, kind of like when he's talking about that, well, I'm always in bed with Meadow. Malaya's the one that does it. And then he contradicts himself with always talking about how he did everything, right? But then everything he's been saying lately is how Malaya pretty much has been doing everything. Remember, and Daniel was supposed to clean the house that night, and nothing was done, but yet she'd already cleaned it up and weird shit, you know? And right. And it really does hurt the brain. But, when it comes to 8:28, right? Janie's on the phone at 8:48. Pretty sure Malaya, who has to stand up in order to be on the phone to try calling her mom, I think that just right there is strange that she's on the phone. She doesn't check on her children at all, you know. They're sick, but she's up at 8:28, 8 minutes after what she says that she saw Lily. And then their timeline fails after, it fails anyway, but it absolutely fails, from definitely 8:30 to the phone call for 911 being made, right? Janie says that she's on her phone, and it was after the phone call with her brother. She went back in her trailer, she went to sleep, and then basically she hears, Daniel Tucker barks, hears the kids, right? And so again, that places herself after 9:00 with hearing the children. And then I remember when Daniel answered this too, which obviously didn't make sense. And I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but he contradicted himself when he was talking about his mom being outside versus inside, how Janie told her own story in a sense with that. And so, because obviously we know that Janie said that she was, heard Daniel yelling for the kids, and their timeline is 9:40ish that they wake up, but yet all those statements of 20 minutes later, they woke up after seeing Jack and Lily type of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I said, what is fluent about that? What is at all fluent about a timeline? But by I always say this, but by their own accord, by their own words, their inconsistencies are just in abundance. From Thursday night to Friday morning. Why a phone call, right? Why a phone call to Cindy? Has Shenanigans ever asked Malaya? Has anyone ever seen where Shenanigans had asked Malaya about why she tried calling her mom at 8:28? I don't watch her live, so I wouldn't know, but maybe one of you guys do. Do you know if that was ever asked to Malaya about that? Why she called her mom at 8:28, even though she didn't answer because, right, she was in the barn or whatever it was. But anyways, so it's just like I said, Janie says that she came out and said, Malaya, what's going on? And she said the kids are missing. Daniel says that he came down and said, then he changes his story there too. She said it was Daniel that made the call. She said it was Daniel that made the call. So Daniel made the call in order to add to the cover-up of Jack and Lily, and that was part of the mastermind in the plan to call Cindy that morning to make it seem like she's too pro-Malaya for me on there. You know what? Honestly, the only thing that all sucks about that is, like, I honestly, personally, Like I said, I don't care if people are Daniel haters, Malaya lovers, Daniel lovers, Malaya, whatever. With it all. But the only thing that sucks about it all is, hey, Malaya, why don't you get some fucking backbone and speak for yourself about your damn kids? Why don't you get off your fucking tough over there as a mother and actually prove that you truly care about Jack and Lily missing? Or is it that you already know the answers and that's why this whole, show my face in front of the search to make it look like I'm truly caring about Jack and Lily? I mean, Malaya, your own friend doesn't think that you give a shit about Jack and Lily. What does that say about you? Right? Right? Your own friend doesn't even think that you give a shit about Jack and Lily. That you care more about what you're fucking doing in your personal life than your own two kids. Says a lot, doesn't it? I think so. Knowing she wouldn't answer, yep. Whatever, right? Because that was all part of the master plan. I just think that at the end of the day, bottom line is, whatever happened, it happened on that property. Like, meaning, doesn't necessarily mean that obviously that they were dead on the property at that particular moment or whatever. But I mean, I believe that the individuals on the property, whether that's one, two, all three, is that's where the truth lies. That's why nobody's claiming no reward, that nobody's called somebody out in a sense and given them and thrown them underneath the bus, right? And it's because if there's other people that do know, it's because they're protecting them, right? There was this case the other day. So who was telling me about it? Was it my husband, I think? And he was an Indian kid, stabbed. I think it was in the UK, perhaps, maybe. Anyways, stabbed some people. And his mother lied for him about her knowledge of the knife and hid the knife. And then when the police go into the room, it's like a dungeon of knives and, anything that would probably send off red fucking alerts. But you know what? Now she's going to pay the price for trying to protect her son. And her ass is going to be grass. And she's going to go up the, fucking wall, for trying to protect her child and stuff like that. So, like I said, if the whole point of, say, Jack and Lily, and why a lot of this already doesn't make sense because it's already been over a year, is nobody's claiming no reward. Nobody's sitting there going, you know what, we have the kids on the reserve or off the reserve and stuff like that. That's such a far-fetched scenario that my brain, honestly, it just can't go to that level. They're all lying. That's what I believe, Where, Alexa, when you have false memories, could be right, with Janie, that could be true, might not be. I'm not so concerned. Well, I mean, Janie obviously is the one that spoke out about hearing them, right? So she's placed herself right there. But not only did Janie, but Malaya and Daniel place themselves as seeing Jack and Lily that morning. Again, when you try to ask, say, Daniel, because obviously you can't ask Malaya, when you try to ask Daniel about that, like, there's no solid answers about it, right? Because that's just it, is that it's kind of like, imagine having to tell so many lies to try to remember them all, so it's just best to avoid when you say know the answer or something. But, when you kind of put Daniel in the crunch, that's when he starts stuttering more. And that's when he doesn't really have any answers to this timeline. When I asked him about 8:30 basically 9:40, he's like, I was like, well, what about that time? Like, right at the start of this case, when Daniel was putting himself out there, that was the one thing that always got me, is that he was always popping around saying stuff, but he never would answer to, the time, or why he can't um, talk, like, make sense of the contradictories and stuff like that. Instead, it just became like a game, right? And it was almost like he would just say what he wanted to say, but when you were to ask him sometimes direct questions and stuff, he would avoid them. And it's like, okay, but you're coming here because you want answers for Jack and Lily, and yet it was like trying to pull teeth to get someone to, talk about this timeline of 8:30. And it was just a question he always avoided. Um, and it got to me after a while. I was like tired of the fucking games, right? That's when I lost my shit with Daniel, because I'm like, okay, you're just fucking playing people. Like, you're just playing games. You're not at all talking about your inconsistencies, but you're not talking about the 8:30. You want to talk about the case and say how innocent and all stuff you are, but yet you don't want to amend some of these inconsistencies. So he put himself in that pickle, right? And then he became known as just basically a liar, and you didn't know what to believe. But I'm just not a game player. I'm not this ass smoocher that sits there, like kind of like with Malaya. I mean, I could have, but honestly, her not wanting to, she wants people to help find Jack and Lily, and yet you want to halt some questions. Like, I don't feel like I was overdoing it. And it was one of those things like, if I could ask you some more questions, like in the near future, perhaps, always about the timeline type of idea, because that's really what we're looking for, about this so-called timeline that you guys have been trying to portray, But then after she did that, I was like, you don't give two fucks about your children. Like, seriously, what a person that wants to ask people for the help to find Jack and Lily, kind of like that letter. And then you sit there and say, I think that's enough questions for now. I'm not going to answer anymore. Most people would be begging to have the opportunity to give you information about their missing children, and for anyone to cover the case, to bring the awareness. Most people would be begging to do that, but not these people, no, right? And it just became about games, and I don't play fucking games. It's just like, it's two children. And so if you're being honest and truthful, then, you can feel it and you can see it. And all I saw was two people playing games. Malaya with her hiding away face game, and Daniel with his popping in like a, little pop-a-mole there, coming in and out, but never ever explaining this 8:30, 9:30. So when I asked him about that, he didn't have an answer, right? And then again, like, what do you think though? Like, what does Daniel and Malaya think that we should think when you're watching this and you're watching them? Because we're seeing it from a different point of view than the one they're seeing it as. Like, they might be able to think that they're being, smart or wise, and that, or believable and stuff like that. But we're on the outside looking in. And when you see these inconsistencies about, well, Malaya is the one that told Janie that the kids were missing, then Daniel says that he's the one that said it. Daniel's, type of thing. It's just, again, I mean, to me, that those things speak for themselves. So how do you believe in someone once they've already crossed that barrier, right? So whatever Daniel says, whether it was on this live or Charmaine's lives and stuff like that, I mean, hey, if he wants to speak more, let him. Janie wants to keep talking, let her, in a sense, I guess, right? Got nothing better to do as we wait for answers, to be honest with you. Hell yes, honey, NBA needs to stop talking through her friends. Yeah, it's a joke, I don't, honestly, like I said, at the end of the day, the children disappeared. Even if we bought their story, they disappeared underneath their watch, and it's the actions beyond that have been, ridiculous. It's all about Jack and Lily, the victims, two innocent children who had no choice in their lives. She's laying in bed with her BF cooks her breakfast. She didn't get up to feed her own kids, right? I know that Daniel was asked about what did he constantly turn the light on and check on the kids at nighttime. I mean, he says he does that normally. I don't know. Because again, he can say whatever he wants, but he's lost so much credibility, right? And then to watch this new improved Daniel 2.0 come out and be more preachier and stuff like that, and be more like, it's weird about all these things that he's been telling us that Malaya's done. And, but yet he's constantly throwing her underneath the bus. But so where's the change all of a sudden? Did you go to like church and wake up and have a new revival or something like that? And, to become this better Daniel 2.0, and all of a sudden, but it's just that it's just coming across as very preachy, as if we're like, I'm going to be a better person. I'm not going to lie anymore. I'm going to tell you the truth about my drug habit. Blah, blah, blah. Even that was a lie. Right? She knows more, and she's weak and will crack like DM, and the consequences are keeping her from speaking. In my opinion, this all started long before Jack and Lily missing. Abuse, abuse, and neglect. Jack and Lily didn't stand a chance. I really hate thinking about that, to be honest with you. I really hate thinking about Jack and Lily's, faces, and then thinking about any children that are not being properly taken care of. I mean, that yard is a death trap for children to be playing around, first and foremost. There was no gate. Well, maybe on the old rickety one, perhaps, that was behind the new one they were building. But I think it's the what I feel is the deception that we are led to believe that these children were supervised and that they normally didn't do this, right? So did they normally always have to feed themselves in the morning, and get themselves up and take care of themselves and stuff like that, because the truth is that I can guarantee you that those children were out playing in the yard without the adults right around there, because on that piece of land, I'm sure there's a lot of children that would be out in the yard playing, and the parents wouldn't think much about it, to be honest with you. I mean, if there was a pool in the yard, that would be a different story. But I can't see that as being abnormal. Normally, most parents would be like, the rule. You're not allowed close to the road or But each to their own on that. But I just know that in this particular piece of land, to me, those children were outside freaking playing, being unsupervised, but it's the portrayal of the fact that these kids were always watched and that they would never go out that door. But that day they did. That day Janie stayed home, and the children then closed the door behind them. And it's all those things. And then the timeline, hearing the kids. So what? They disappeared in a 20-minute window? I don't believe it for 1 second. That these children that somebody came on the property, professional traffickers, came on the property in this, let's just give it a half an hour window, that the dog didn't bark, that Janie's, back sleeping, and Daniel and Malaya, and it's just all so far-fetched to me. But that's how I just, like I said, call it how I see it personally. Anyways, Janie's absolutely lying as well. With Janie, I always get torn because she comes off like, I'm telling the truth. And if you guys don't believe me, basically you can suck it because I know, sometimes, it's like, Janie, what do you know? What do you not know? With her. But still, at the end of the day, she's the one that told the story about her timeline to the news. Regardless, right? And Daniel and Malaya said that they both seen Lily at 8-something. And to sit there and think that the, dog trainer guy makes a comment about, well, Thursdays, Daniel, they keep saying, like, even Malaya used those same words. Thursday is just a normal day. Fuck you, it was just a normal day. It wasn't just a normal ass day. But you want us to believe that it was a normal day. Then that's why your memory can't seem to remember it, because it was a normal day. Just like Alexa said, I can tell you exactly what happened when 911, the towers went down, right? 9/11. I can tell you exactly. My TV was on loud, fell asleep to it. I woke up to the noise on the TV. And that was like, I believe I even want to say it was at 4:56 my time. And I was like, saw this plane, the first plane, crash into the building type of thing. And yeah, so it's like, that was in 2001. Right? And I can still, and you're telling me that the children disappear in that morning, and yet your Thursday is really kind of fuzzy, and you actually get it mixed up. Both of you, actually. It's crazy. Because that shit right there is just shit that would be embedded in your head. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit more of this. Hold on. Let me go. What are we at? 1845. What am I at on this one? Oh, yeah. I'll just play a little bit more of this one, because the other one's, it's the same thing that I had open.
Pictou County. I'm trying to get the pronunciations correct. Now, all the reports are saying the children wandered away from the home just after 10 a.m. That's what the statement said from the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So Lily has shoulder-length hair, light brown, and she has bangs. So she could be wearing her pink sweater, pink pants, and pink boots. And according to Daniel, she, has her backpack with her. Now, of course, I understand that initial descriptions might be a little bit off, like you might notice, oh, their boots are missing. They're probably wearing their boots. Or Lily's wearing pink. And the only thing we got about Jack, well, now his hair is short and blonde. It looks like he's, had a buzz cut or a cut in his most recent photos. Police say he's wearing blue dinosaur boots. No other clothing description was available at first. Like perhaps he just has a pull-up on, like Daniel spoke of. The mom spoke of, oh, I hope it's not, they hate being wet and cold, so they would have come back in. And Daniel spoke of, oh, the pull-up would have been full the first day, so I can't see them running around there. And then Jack all of a sudden may have been wearing brown pants too.
She was also carrying a white backpack with strawberries on it. Martell says although he didn't see Jack that morning, he is believed to be wearing a brown shirt, brown pants with a pull-up diaper on underneath, and blue rain boots with dinosaurs on them. He also refuted the claim that the two children are nonverbal, saying while they are on the autism spectrum, they are quite trusting and say hi to everyone. According to Martell, his side of the family are currently the only ones at ground zero after Lily and Jack's mother left the county Saturday. But still, he remains, begging anyone with answers to come forward and bring his children home safe.
So I understand initially where you might not remember what your children could be wearing. But then if you look around and you see things are missing, you're like, okay, perhaps they had that on. But I don't see how a person could be so sure. Lily's carrying her backpack. She had her backpack with her if no one saw her. Because according to Malaya, she was in and out of sleep, and then she woke up and she's like, wait, I don't hear the kids. And she asked Daniel, like, do you hear them? People are picking up on so many red flags. There's a YouTuber, I think it's titled No Truer Words, doing an analysis of these parents. It was very good. Their statements, really good. Daniel, one time he slipped into the past tense, I heard, about Lily loved playing with her brother like they were best friends and all that. I heard him slip into the past tense once, and that's scary. Now, during the presser, they did say that Major Crimes has been involved pretty much since the beginning, maybe since Saturday, since they treat all missing cases as suspicious. But of course, they wouldn't go into detail about, well, we really think something shady's going on here. After all, this is Canada. We're not going to be able to get public records like we do in the United States. Some people.
Psych up there. So Shuby was contacted. The PSFC truck is requested for comms issues. Will be sent to the staging area. Delta 3, did you copy that?
No, go ahead.
10-4, we talked to Shuby there. The PSFC truck is going to be sent to the staging area for the comms issue.
And all stations, just ordering a black SUV just north of the residence and on the left side of the road.
Unless YouTube's doing it, I'm not doing anything there myself. Just Jeannie, not sure what you posted that was deleted. Like I haven't seen anything, you know. So unless it's like Streamlabs doing it. Yeah. Don't know. Wait, I don't hear the kids. Did you hear them? Major leakage there. That happened the night in my information they forgot. Yeah, you know, just with all this information, right? Like 2 posts. Yeah. I mean, I personally haven't seen them. Like meaning in the chat or something is being deleted. So it could be Streamlabs by chance. There's only a couple mods here and I can't see them. Deleting your posts. There's also a comment pause on. If you comment again too quickly. Oh, that could be it. That could be it. If you're trying to type something and then you haven't waited the 30 seconds, then it just, you know, puts it out. Yeah, so it could. Are you sure you're waiting for like 30 seconds? You know, type of thing, because it will show in light color and it won't post it. If you haven't waited, that could be it. Other than that, it's the only thing I can think of myself on there. Baby Monkey. For your information, I contacted Missing Children Canada. Major Crimes does not need to come to all missing children calls. They have protocols they go by, and if it meets these, they will join. Suspicious. Major Crimes does not automatically. Oh, okay. Right. Does not automatically come to all missing children calls. I think, you know what? I'm just going to play a little bit more of this. I was going to type something into the AI for a second. 1 second here. I'm just going to play this audio.
Does not appear to be a CRV, but it is a black SUV. If anybody wants to come up and have a look at that, just under the helicopter here now, if you guys have visual of it.
Bravo 3 drove by that on my way in. That's a Kia Sportage, Delta Papa Uniform 468. I didn't run it, but there was nobody in it.
I'm right here. I'll check it.
Yeah, we copy that. There are 2, looks like 2 individuals walking down towards the lake ahead of the vehicle. And there's a cabin at the end of the lake.
The vehicle comes back to a Gregory Giffen from
805, go ahead.
Yeah, we okay to cross the highway here and work the wooded area behind the residence?
10-4, I'm actually coming down for battery swap right now.
Okay, cover that. Just let us know when you want to come back airborne.
Just advising everyone on the talk group, public safety field communications are en route to that.
These calls sound fake. What do you mean? It's the audio dispatch from the the day of the search. That's not a phone call type of thing. I mean, it's over the radio, but it's from the day of the search. Those calls are on the scanner, whatever you want to call them. So it says no, major crimes units do not automatically step into the lead every missing person case in Canada. In the Canadian policing system, whether handled by the RCMP, provincial police, or municipal forces, the vast majority of missing person cases are managed by local detachments. For major crimes unit to take over carriage primary control of a missing person file, the case must meet specific operational criteria thresholds. Canadian Police and Service govern these transitions through strict risk assessment frameworks and major crimes unit principles. And then it kind of just gives, let's see, the trigger for major crime, suspicion of foul play. Under the Canadian policing standard, major crime units are explicitly built in to investigate serious indictable criminal offenses, primary homicides, suspicious deaths, and kidnappings. Therefore, major crimes will generally only take over a missing person file if they are reasonable ground to suspect foul play. In this case, I don't know that they took over as much as they're working in conjunction. The suspicious threshold, if forensics finds unexpected blood, well, it didn't, witness statement sharply, or if witness statements sharply conflict, if there are signs of a struggle, if there's electronic financial footprints suggest a forced abduction, the case crosses the threshold into criminal investigation. 30-day rule. In many Canadian jurisdictions, such as under the Ontario Major Crime Case Management, if an individual remains entirely unaccounted for after a specific time frame, okay, it's typically 30 days. The distinction, let's put this, because it actually, I didn't ask it this, but it says the distinction in the Sullivan case. This operational boundary is exactly why legal classification of Lily and Jack Sullivan case has caused so much local discussion. Because the RCMP initially kept the investigation primarily categorized under the Provincial Missing Persons Act rather than definitively moving it strictly to a major crime criminal file. It meant that while major crime analysts certainly reviewed and assisted with the file behind the scenes, the case lacked the definitive legal trigger of confirmed criminal foul play. The Missing Persons Act gives Canadian police powerful tools. So that's what it's saying. The Missing Persons Act, it says, gives Canadian police powerful tools to access phone records, bank statements, travel logs without needing to prove a crime occurred. And that's where we're talking about, about it being in the missing persons, about these tools more so that they can utilize while it's in the missing persons. So it says, without needing to prove a crime occurred. However, until definitive physical or circumstantial evidence shifts the baseline assessment from missing children to homicide or criminal abduction, Major Crimes Unit cannot legally treat the circle of family and friends as outright homicide suspects, right? And that's exactly right. They can't treat them as outright suspects because it's not moved into the criminal, and it's on my arm. Oh, the fuck. Looked down at my arm and I thought it was a bug there. My bad. It was a piece of beef from my freaking nachos. So that's why I kept saying it is a missing persons. But with them being on scene by day 2, was it because it was suspicious? I mean, I think it met all the criteria for sure of it being, suspicious for sure, right? So let's see. In short, Canada treats every missing person file seriously from day 1, but major crime only takes the wheel when the case stops looking like a disappearance and starts looking like a crime. And I personally have myself have no doubt that what we hear them say in conferences or publicly, again, I personally think, and you guys can agree or disagree, and Daniel, you can agree or disagree, but Major Crimes is out there looking for the answers of, you're welcome, baby monkey, of what happened to Jack and Lily. They don't truly give two shits, like, in a sense, about Daniel Martell. Will they deceive him? Make him feel comfortable? Good cop, bad cop type of thing, right? Absolutely, yes. Daniel keeps a lot of times reminding us about how that they're not even looking at him anymore, type of thing. That, you know, that he signed some sort of waiver or thing about the blanket or whatever it was. But anyways, I just feel like in my head, I'm just outright say it. I'm just like, you got to be fucking thick if you truly believe that they're not looking at you or waiting for something to show. I think that there's a lot of things. They have, remember this, okay? They got one, hi Belinda believes, they got one kick at the bucket, right? They got one kick at the bucket for this case, for Jack and Lily. They are not going to ruin it in any way, shape, or form. So when they say that they got one kick at the bucket, what do you kind of interpret that as? That, oh, they're just missing, and now they got one kick at the bucket to get this right, and to have they have to have the attachment of what happened to Jack and Lily. They have to have bodies. They have to have proof of who did something to Jack and Lily. They have to have that. And that's where, to me, this case will keep remaining a missing person act up until the long game or whatever they're doing. But I feel myself, like, for me, make no mistake about it, that they know. You know, remember in that article about that they have basically a picture? I'm sure that they absolutely do have a picture, you know, but it's the barrier of the proof. And they don't have that. And they want whoever has that information to come forward, right? And look at that. Guess what? Nobody's coming forward. Nobody's claiming the reward money. The most likely reason why that's happening is because the people on the property know the answer, and that they're lying to the rest of us, trying to make us believe that we should look elsewhere. That's how I see it. That's how I see it, right? Didn't matter if Daniel was up on the live wanting to speak. It really becomes a bottom line of, do you believe Daniel? Do you not believe Daniel? You know, if you believe Daniel, that's perfectly fine. If you don't believe Daniel, again, perfectly fine. We don't know the true answers. But again, just when you take the puzzle pieces of what's going on, about the highest statistics for it being family involvement, when you take the inconsistencies of their words and a timeline, when you take Malaya's actions and add that puzzle piece to it, you know, to me, it's clearly showing us that deception is going on, and that what they are trying to make us believe is not the truth. And if a lot of people, or a good amount of people, had knowledge of Jack and Lily being taken away in a vehicle, okay? And I don't believe this for a second, that Tucker would not be barking at all, or right, more like that he should be barking if a vehicle, it doesn't matter the minute a dog, they're freaking, obviously we know dogs have such keen hearing. If they hear a pebble move, which on that driveway, whether it's the front or the back, if they hear it, instantly their little ears perk up. They know. You know, I could be coming out of the elevator and the cats are at the door because they hear sound, right? Now, you know, and then again, right? Brad was in here earlier. Why would Brad need, you know, to make something up about a vehicle sold to human trafficking? Micmac, is that what you think on that one? But the dog is going to hear something. So make it make sense in the timeline that they gave us, that in this 20 to 30 minute time window, max, that someone came on the property, a professional group, that some of Malaya's family came up there, because there's no reason. It doesn't make sense that happened without the dog barking. And it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense why Malaya would need to hide her 2 children away from Daniel just to get away from him. She doesn't need to do that at all. Right? You know, if there was some sort of human trafficking, there would be some sort of transaction, you know, that would have showed in some sort of path. You know, all this digital footprint beyond the home of movement and stuff like that. Right? Yeah. And why would Justin need to talk about a vehicle? Now, Bossman, what do you say to this? Let me ask you. Daniel said he never had a 5-speed vehicle. And he also said that he never doesn't even know how to drive a stick shift. Right? The thing is, when it comes to this case, regardless of the Anita Bonitas of the world, you know, and stuff like that, we're looking at their own words. And again, what the statistics of what's probable and what's not. But I think anyone watching this case is all confused about where the truth lies. And the reason why you're so confused is because the truth isn't being told. And we keep hearing all this muck and muddle, and the deception and, you know, deflection, you know, from this case. It's hard to make sense when BS is being, yeah, is that what you're, in your opinion, Micmac? Is that what, you know, well, sorry, I lost my train of thought on that one. But it's like, oh, but bottom line was that it's like, if it doesn't make sense, that's because it's nonsense. And that's just looking at their own actions and their own words and the inconsistent timeline, the weirdness of the timeline, the lack of memories, you know, the inconsistencies in who said what, when, what type of thing. Am I cutting out? No? Maybe just refresh the live. Could be your internet connection, perhaps. You know? Yeah, okay. It has to be her then. Thank you, guys. Yeah, just do that. You know? So I stand in the same space because of all the reasons from them. It's not because of anything that, say, Darren has said, anything that even, you know, Loudmouth Bonita has said there. It's like I'm when I'm looking at the case, because that's just like hearsay kind of like Shanann talking about what Malaya said and stuff like that. You know, even some of the things that Haley said to me, right? I mean, it's third party information, right? But you kind of got to go along with, okay, well, Haley's her sister. And if Malaya's spoken to her, you know, you're going to take that with a higher grain, you know, of salt and stuff like that. Yeah, well, especially, okay, I absolutely believe, like, and this is just my own belief. I absolutely believe that Daniel was doing drugs that night. For, and this is what you can call this hearsay, however you want to, but for Malaya to have told about the shaving kit in the bathroom where Daniel housed his drugs, and then we heard that Malaya, that she had woke up, right, and that Daniel was doing drugs. I feel like Daniel is just definitely not telling the truth, because if he tells the truth about that, then it will just add more suspicion on him than he already has. You know, like maybe the kid's disappearance had nothing to do with him being high as a fucking kite or something like that, you know, but it will put more suspicion on him. So if you notice when he does talk about it, he says that he's been clean for like a year, like just over a year. Right. Just over a year is when Jack and Lily disappeared. Right. But so I don't believe him when he tries to, because he started off by saying that he didn't do drugs. And then Darren had made a comment that he hadn't been doing drugs for like 3 years, something like that. But whatever. That's coming from Darren. But Daniel's own words his stories kept changing. And I remember when DT asked him, okay, so when's the last time you did drugs? And again, you know, the hesitation was there. And then it was kind of like, I think it was, what was it, guys, a couple months or something like that, you know? Well, I can't remember, a couple weeks, a couple months. But anyways, no, let's get closer to the date, you know, that you were still doing drugs and that it was said you were doing drugs. So when Haley had said, like, what the fuck is going on to Malaya? And then she said, Daniel's doing meth, you know, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sure that whole thing then about Daniel, that Malaya wakes up and Daniel's in the bathroom doing drugs, you know, where the man kid is in the bathroom, kind of makes sense. It kind of flows together. So that at least has some flow to it, right? But Daniel, I think that he clearly doesn't want to say that he was, say, doing drugs that night, regardless if he wants to believe in his truth or not. I'm just going with what sounds more credible. And there's more flow that's been said about the drugs, and I believe that it was true, you know. Anyone know why Logan has been so very quiet? You know, I think just people in general, family members or not, I think that they just get tired of it. It's exhausting, outwardly, say, speaking or talking and stuff like that, from, say, the people that weren't actually on the property. I think that everyone goes through their spurts. 1 minute they're talking, then they're stopped, then they get pissed off again, then they perhaps start talking again. But it's very weighing on people that had nothing to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily, that to sit there and have to watch the drama unfold on, you know, YouTube channels and different shit like that. And, you know, they got lives outside of watching people on YouTube and stuff like that. And they just, you know, probably take a break, you know, kind of like, I mean, probably, I guess, what Daniel did, take a break. I mean, it was, regardless, it was good for him. He needed to do that. It wasn't doing him any favors, right? And so whatever self-reflection or whatever he needed to do with himself or go through, bottom line is his goal is with Meadow, and same with Malaya, right? that they're just doing whatever they have to do to try to be able to, you know, be with their daughter, everything that makes them try to look good to the court system about what they're doing to fix themselves. I would never wish for parents to be detached from their kids. But then again, I would never want children to be in the hands of irresponsible people or people that had drug issues. And I think Daniel made a comment to that actually, that Malaya, stayed there knowing full well that Daniel was doing his meth and whatever. And so she willingly, this is why I don't have the sympathy, for this part, because it's Jack and Lily. So, underneath your care and guidance that are supposed to be the protectors of the children, you knew that this all was going on, but you willingly were a participant. And it doesn't matter. You are a willing participant in Daniel's actions to you. You stayed for any abuse that you received. You stayed for any, whatever you want to call it, uncare of Jack and Lily. And, you basically, sounds like you two put your own selves in front of their needs, more than the children's needs, of course, because if the children's needs were taken care of properly, someone would get up in the morning when the children are awake and not hearing them clunk around in a kitchen and stuff again, we don't know what the truth is there, but bottom line is, right, through the whole case starting, it still becomes about two children disappearing underneath the care of Daniel and Malaya. And I would never want to see children ever in a position where that they're more of afterthoughts. It seems like Meadow was mostly the thought of them both, versus Jack and Lily. I'm just not feeling this motherly love about her children, for acting like that Jack and Lily are her priority and stuff. In what way? Did the news people turn you down, Malaya, when you wanted to speak out? Is that the reason? Yeah. They just turned you away because they didn't want to hear from the mother of two missing children? Well, I'm just, like I said, I'm not here to be a Malaya fucking activist for being a part of a domestic violence. I stayed in mine. And I don't blame anybody. And I'm not expecting the sympathy of anyone, because those were my choices, my issues, and then, when I left, you look for the support of your family, because, your family is supposed to be there for you when you need support and stuff like that. No, what I haven't. One sec. Ooh, all of a sudden I look up and I had a sneeze there. No, Brad, I'm not seeing your messages. If I did, I would highlight them. So I'm not sure. I don't think you're typing too fast because I'm just not sure if it's Streamlabs, because I don't have any specific, I have specific words, like that people can't say in a sense, but those are more like a bunch of swear words. What did you hear that sneeze? I thought I hit my mute come out. I meant to mention the one child not missing is right. That kind of adds to it too, right? How is it that Jack and Lily, because they were the ones that snuck outside though, right? Well, Meadow was safely tucked in the bed. Wait, I asked Brad about the vehicle, about that Daniel said he didn't drive a 5-speed and didn't know how to drive one and never had one. That's right. Maybe on Messenger you could just let me know what your thought was to that. Because I don't think you're right. No, yeah. 747. I think DM is a liar. Drive, Google Drive. Yeah, I'm just curious what you have to say to that, Brad, because just for the fact of you saying that typically when Daniel started his car, that he usually didn't take off right away. Usually it was like, sitting there for a few minutes or something. Power, I know a lady who has a foster parent of a 2-year-old. She wanted to adopt him, but he was sent back to his mom and dad, who ended up being killed not even 2 weeks with him. Oh, that is sad. Both his comments are lies. I could hear him leave around 6:10 to 6:30 every morning for work when he did. I seen that comment. Oh, did somebody accuse you of lying in the chat earlier, like during this live? And again, Brad doesn't have missing children. Why would he need? Thing is that the reason why Brad even reported that about the vehicle is because of the missing children. Like, I think you have 4 children, right, Brad? Is it 4, right? Right. That's just it. What would Justin benefit? Right? What would Brad benefit? And I don't think for one second that Daniel didn't know how to drive a stick shift. But it's just, again, if you had a choice in a case of 2 missing children, and Daniel is from on the property and Brad's off the property, who are you most likely to believe? Brad? My husband just sneezed. Bless you, honey. Hallelujah. Who would you believe? Daniel, a person from on the property of the 2 missing children, or someone that doesn't have a stake in the game of Jack and Lily missing and has 4 kids of his own? There goes my husband sneezing again. I think he's allergic to me. On there. So who'd you believe? If you were to pick between the two, who sounds more truthful, Brad or Daniel? I'll be right back. I'll let you guys put that in chat. Who would you believe more based on this case? If you were to believe between those 2 people, who would you choose, Daniel or Brad? I know my answer, and it's going to be Brad. You know, the thing is that we don't know what happened to Jack and Lily. We don't know where Jack and Lily are. Now, what I at least kind of know, well, I'll say I do know, based from Justin and based from the person that told me that the cameras weren't working at the end of that house across the tracks. Those cameras were not working. There was like 5 of them, but none of them were like plugged in and whatever. And the same with the POA is that Justin said that the owners would have showed me a picture if those cameras were working that were there. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't cameras further down, different ways. Right? So that always weighs on my head of, what area, if you kind of look at it from an angle of, if this camera is not working, right? And Daniel knows that because he knows those people at the end. So he would know if those cameras were working or not, where the blanket is or down the road from that and stuff like that. He knows what cameras are there, right? And he knows, I'm sure, like, you know what I mean? I think that Daniel and Janie, like, giving us the knowledge about their phones being left, I just feel like there's always these details that they give, no different than kind of Daniel saying about the, well, of course my fingerprints are going to be on the blanket, right? Like, duh. But why are you telling us that? I think on that Killed Jesper or whatever it was that Charmaine played, I mean, like I said, regardless, it stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, why are you telling us these details? Why are you giving us these details, about your phone? But then you're saying that you were looking down every culvert and that, obviously with a phone, it's just, again, it's inconsistency after inconsistency. Brad and Justin speak the truth. Thing is, again, okay, Shannon, who here thinks it was, a lot of people believe more accidental. I think I'm more likely to think it was I'm more likely to think that it wasn't necessarily planned, but that it wasn't accidental either. Like, meaning if I had to weigh the two options of if this is about revenge or accidental, if this is about taking a couple kids out of the equation, or if a person, right? I don't know. Like, always get tossed and torn. But if I probably had to go with my gut, based on the nature of the relationship and the environment, this sounds like more of an anger issue thing. And that's why I say I don't believe that Daniel didn't know Malaya wasn't going to leave him. I don't buy that at all. Again, I think about the Barry Sam Morphew case when he acts like he didn't know about the affair. Fuck off, Barry. Fucking liar. Well, that's how I feel about when Daniel says that he didn't know. There was clearly tons of, even his own actions about holding Malaya, trying to get the phone. I believe Malaya when she says that, right? Right. They're trying to prevent you from calling, right? I lived in an abusive relationship, like this, and right, controlling what to wear, what I can do with my friends. Or remember, if I blue moon, I said I was going to go out, right? Blue moon, go out with a couple friends from work, right? And then I would get back the, well, just don't think I'm not going to fucking do it back to you type of thing. And no matter how loyal, you know, I was, it doesn't matter, right? It was about the control, about, you know, you know, if I said I was going to call my mom or something like that, right? Of course, the phone gets taken away from me and stuff like that. So I can see them getting into the arguments, Malaya and Daniel, you know, him trying to get the phone out of her hand or not letting her call, because all of a sudden when that happens, and all of a sudden they go into fucking panic mode, you know, because now it's like, oh, wait, you know, all this, but, oh, wait, now shit's getting real and you're going to call your mom and stuff like that. No, you're not, you know, and it's all about control, the control of a person because of their own fucking insecurities is what it boils down to, because of their own insecurities. That's why men have to try to control females, because they don't have the security that, you know, they just don't have that type of like mindset. My mindset for me personally, my thing is that I'll trust you until I don't trust you. Do I need to be a detective to investigate if you're cheating on me? No. If I find out you are, then your fucking ass is grass. See ya. But I'm not going to sit there in a relationship and be jealous, you know, and stuff like that. If someone loves me, they'll love me for who I am and wouldn't want to cheat on me, just like I wouldn't want to cheat on them. You know, I don't have those type of insecurities. It's like, you know, fuck off then. If that's who you are and that's what you want to do, then fuck off and get out of my life. And then I just don't look back, you know, but it all stems just from the insecurities of the person. And that's why they have to try to control and manipulate and love bomb and gaslight and all that crap, because simple as that, their own insecurities. He always talks in past tense as well, and then apologizes for talking in past tense. You know, I can overlook the past tense a bit. I can, you know, because I have done the same thing. So I don't take that too strongly to where he used the past tense. Because my son's well enough alive and I've, you know, used the word loved, but it's not like I meant to say like I loved him, like I don't. It's just, so that one I do tend to overlook because of where he used it. And, you know, that Lily loved, you know, this, or Jack loved playing with bugs and stuff like that. I mean, it could be a faux pas in the mountainous information, but that one I just don't hold a lot of grain to, because a lot of people use past tense without meaning to, and I am one of those ones. So that's why I personally don't put too much weight on that. I look at mostly the other shit, you know. I thought Brad went to the dark side with shenanigans and Malaya. I don't know. I honestly, I heard that multiple times, and whatever Brad does or doesn't do, that's not for me to decide on that, because again, I think regardless, doesn't matter. And same with, say, Tint or whatever, is that these people are looking for answers for Jack and Lily. And I don't care who's really doing what that way, right? I just think that at the end of the day, regardless of any speculation or whatever, or theories, is that the bottom line of this all is about Jack and Lily. And that's always the priority to me, is about Jack and Lily. So I don't know. I mean, I just heard it, but I didn't care one way or the other if it was true or not. I didn't ask him because I didn't feel like I needed to ask him. You know, I mean, I think we talked about something once. And I can't even remember what it was, but something about the search, or I don't know. I can't even remember. See, that's how unimportant it was to me. I just care about if people are going to speak, that they're speaking the truth, not trying to, deflect from the case, right? And I'm talking about, like, said, the information of the car or the vehicle from Justin and Brad and stuff like that, right? All I'm looking for is that if somebody is going to speak on Jack and Lily and have some information, that they're just speaking truthfully, right? And that's where it came with Anita. She tried, unfortunately, you can't undo, in a sense, what's already out there. But, she just came off the gate like a fucking horse, Thunderbird, Thunder, whatever those things are. Come out of the gate, and she's just loud mouth, and she was all over the map. But you tried to listen to the things that could make sense. And I don't know if it's true, if she was there 3 weeks after or that week, because she speaks of the week. And then I just got to the point where it doesn't really matter what her information is. It's still not going to take away from what has been going on with the case anyway. It would just kind of be like, oh, if you already felt Malaya was a liar, in a sense, then does her information even impact that more, really? Or have you already, say, drawn the conclusion that both Malaya and Daniel say are liars, right? So to me, this far into the case, it's just stuff to talk about, stuff to go over. I just decided that Anita and POS there, they just don't deserve my particular time whatsoever, because I just find it just is useless information to my brain. And it's not like I need that information to have already been looking at this case for what it's shown and what it's been like. And so that's just more, whatever. But, like I said, if you're a POS lover, so be it. Don't, doesn't matter. I'm just saying that for me personally, I just don't have any more time to listen to the bullshit. And it's just, I got better things to do than fucking listen to a live for fucking, sorry, and I hate to say it this way, but because it's not like I don't have lives that are 3, 4, fucking 5 hours long, but hey, if you got something better to do during that time, but I just don't got time to listen to him always putting down people all the time, and her fucking BS with everyone's guilty of something. And I just I'd just rather be doing other things. I'd rather watch Texas Hold'em. I'd rather pick my nose and eat it than sit there and entertain myself with their shit anymore, to be honest. And I didn't a lot, but I did some. I was just like, but then you just get tired of the same thing. Yeah, we gotta shut up Sunny. She just talks too much. She doesn't know how to interview Haley and stuff like that. And he's talking out of his ass. And, he keeps saying about how he wants what he cares about is the timeline of the case and stuff like that. And maybe beyond all his fucking bullshit, right? Yeah, I think that's what anyone wants, is a truthful timeline. And the more that they talk and stuff like that, the more you're trying to weed out the truth and the BS and stuff like that. So, if Anita's talking and saying shit, okay, are you credible? Well, she lost her credibility to me, just by her, like, she might as well just move in with Mike at this point and fucking have a hoedown there and just do fucking lives with him every day now. She obviously just loves the attention. Like, what more, honestly, could she possibly add that she hasn't said? But every day you go on and whatever, right? Like, I mean, honestly, whatever. It's their lives. They can do whatever the fuck they want. I just don't need to be part of it, and I don't feel like listening to it anymore. It's just noise to my ears now. I do not believe she was DV, not with the new guy. I don't know about the new guy. You're taking my kid, I'm taking yours. I'm just going by, that's the part that's trying, like for me, right? If I believe in my theory that of family involvement, it's trying to wrap your head around that middle piece between Thursday to Friday and where Jack and Lily could have been taken by exactly who all knew, right? Looking at Janie, looking at Malaya, looking at Daniel, looking at the fact of Thursday, just, yes, the children were on camera. Did they make it home? Oh, well, their Google Maps showed that they made it home at 3:11. But does that mean it was with Jack and Lily? But then if you look kind of like at the Dollarama time and stuff like that, right? I mean, the movements are there, and it's kind of like those things, and then they come back home. Chances are I believe that they came back home. Chances are that they were arguing. It was said by Malaya's family that, what was it, you guys? Chlamydia? I think was it chlamydia or something like that? I mean, if she's going to the doctors, right, because of a disease from Daniel, from him cheating on her, let's just say that that's truthful. Chances are there is arguments going on. If you're literally getting blood work done or stuff because of a cheating partner, chances are it's not all fucking sunshine and roses and shit. Right? So chances are, no, I did not. I only went on that search because my youngest son asked me to. Oh, that's sweet. On there. He was friends with Jack. Aw. I don't think I actually knew that. I think that's the first time I don't think I've ever asked you that. If your children, played with Jack and Lily or stuff like that. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't it's like that didn't even cross my mind to ask Brad, even though, and I think that's just because of from when Daniel and his mom were talking about Brad, right? They kept referencing him as if, when stuff got stolen and blah, blah, blah. So I just figured that there was an animosity there. So I didn't even think about that, to be honest. So thanks for that little bit of detail there. Boss man is Brad. Joe, I don't really understand that question because boss man is Brad. Boss man is Brad the neighbor. Brad is the neighbor. Like he's the neighbor on Lansdowne Station Road. He's not the neighbor that found the footprint that night into the morning. Yeah. It does make you wonder though, right? With the children that knew Jack and Lily. Are they still thinking about Jack and Lily? It's hard probably not to. Small little place. One minute you see these children, but children at that age, they just don't really understand the grasp of what this story is about, really. Yeah, 2 missing children. Tom Lou, who's done a live for 9 hours. Everybody's stupidity. If there's one thing, again, I'll say this again. A lot of people were shitting on Brad. because of his past and stuff like that. Not that he's the only one with a past, other people do too. And it's like, NDT made it well known his dislike for Brad Wong. He just didn't like him because of what he read, right? So he made his judgment, and that's fine. That's where DT especially got more pissier with me, and why he showed things and said, I don't even know why Brad's still talking to her after she said that. And he totally misled his viewers about what it meant when I did say that. But anyway, about the not the brightest bulb on the tree or something like that, which was referencing because Brad did double talk himself on something. I can't remember what it was now, right? But I know what it was. It was when he was coming into the chat and he was acting like he was just a viewer, but yet he would make comments that you could see that he would make comments that also referenced him being the neighbor. And I kept thinking, dude, like I'm totally catching on to that, right? That's what that comment was towards about that, but DT missed. But anyways, so he just simply didn't like Brad at all. And just because of a past, right? And I get it. I get the fact that, I don't have any criminal record myself or this deep, dark past, but there's a lot of people, either they're YouTube creators that do have pasts, right? But I never held that in judgment of Brad because to me, it didn't have anything to do with the 2 children missing. So I'm not going to equate because maybe he had a past for theft or whatever, that was going to equate to him lying about Jack and Lily. That just didn't make sense to me. Why someone would involve themselves when they didn't need to at all. And Brad's not that neighbor. He's not that person that's like, hey, I want the attention here. Hello. I got news to tell, right? It wasn't like that for a long time up until the documents came out. I already knew who it was, right? But, many people didn't know until their names were put out there, right? And that's why I like Brad, and I can see people being pissy because in the articles, like it clearly said their names. And it's just like, well, come forward with information, but don't worry, we'll dox you, with your name. I mean, same with that Natasha Haywood and stuff. Does anyone have $500 to pay me if I watch? Nope. Monopoly money. 1 second here. I'm just going to hit play for this for a sec because I just need a drink and probably a couple of vapes. Not going to lie. Anyways, be right back.
Search you have there, and our ETA is about 1:05 p.m. 1305.
Over there in Gairloch Road, if you can copy this there, Corporal Short contacted a complainant from that suspicious vehicle call, and everything was done for. Nothing suspicious about it.
Control 4 copies.
Just make sure Mom stays close to the house there in case they happen to sneak out and get back into the house.
Search the road of our building here. We've got all of our equipment on the go, and 22 members should land on site about 1:30, a little before, hopefully.
10-4, that's great. Thank you.
There is a field, kind of an open area behind the residence there. I'll just stay west of that, so I won't come any closer to the backyard for that. Just let me know if you need to move in closer. I'll get out of the way. Yeah, no, you guys do your thing, and we're just going to work all these heavily wooded areas out here where you guys can't reach. Perfect.
Kilo 6 shifted to large 315. I want hair now. An onion bag. That's not nothing to play with or anything, is it? Still 6 packet truck giving the dog a treat. We're going to do the residence and property over again while we wait. I just want to let you know, on last night's search, we were having problems with our TMR communications through our command trailer. I think we've got a connector or a wire with a problem. Something you might want to consider activating public field comms to come aid us in communications if that's going to be a need.
Already done, they're en route.
Excellent, appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, Kilo 6 here. 2 missing children. One wearing pink. Not sure what the other one was wearing. Possibly a backpack with them. 4 years old and 8 years old. Global News here. Looking to speak to somebody. In the bedroom, we called this morning and they haven't been seen since then. I need to get a good statement and figure stuff out. Corporal McGinnis, can you copy there? I think your corporal's spotty. Was that you I heard on here that was going to do a search of the residence again?
Audio.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. They were going to do the property and the residence again.
Copy that.
Property and the residence again.
Copy, and just for everyone's awareness, based on the profile, the children could have traveled at least 6 kilometers. So keep that in mind.
Sergeant Young, for your awareness, their media release has been put out in a non-intrusive alert has been sent out to Pictou County.
Perfect, thank you. Campground at the KOA. It's across the road, and the people down there are aware. Keep an eye out. There's also a trail cam that was found on that road from the staging area. We just trying to make contact with the owner there now to see if he had any footage.
Just quickly. And Brad, that's them talking about you, right? Near the staging area, because that's where your home was. And I think you said, if I'm not mistaken, that you had one camera. But it wasn't like facing Gairloch. But that's them talking about you, right? When they said that they were trying to contact him, I believe. And and Brad just kind of made the comment up here. It was very abnormal to hear anyone come and go from the property after midnight. Right, which I had been told that that the reason why he was paying attention was because it was abnormal that a vehicle at that time of night was going back and forth. So it's almost like then you're paying attention to it, right? Because like you said, it wasn't normal. Now, I still always get conflicted. And Brad, I'm not sure if you know the answer, but who, because I'm pretty sure that Daniel Knapp said it was like saying it was you. But that anonymous poster that said that there was a bunch of vehicles on Thursday, outside of the property. Daniel said it was you that said that comment. Like with the anonymous poster saying that they live 500 feet. Now, the 500 feet would be more the neighbor that's to the right. Anyways, I'll just let Brad catch up with maybe answering. Most of my life at night is real dead quiet. You hear everything. That's my thing, right? You hear everything. So for Janie, like I know Alexa doesn't know this case as well, inside and out, but the thing is that, like I had said to Alexa that night, is like, yes, but apparently I can understand if Janie wakes up and hears Daniel's vehicle and stuff like that and just kind of nods back off. But according to Daniel and that, like no vehicle. And that's, remember the voice clip where Malaya was, where that we played from Haley, where she was talking about Malaya being pissed off and she called because she didn't have knowledge of that information from the crimes unit or whatever about a supposed vehicle going, back and forth at night. So basically she called and said, like, how come I wasn't told about this type of thing? That's what that one voice clip was referencing. Is it possible the driveway where Daniel was parked when he came back with MBM van the day of the search, maybe the dog didn't bark because they were not in the driveway? Maybe the dog didn't bark because they were not in the driveway. Hi, Andy. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Possible. Did you ever hear yelling or ruckus coming from that property? No, it wasn't me. Right, okay. And I didn't believe so. But I know that Daniel portrayed that it was you. I mean, he outright said that the same person about the vehicles was the same person about the drug party and stuff like that. Yes, you know what? Hey, Anita, read this comment. Sonny, your voice is always so soothing that when I watch you while laying down, I fall asleep. I remember back in the Delphi case where this one YouTube creator, big piece of shit, he was, me and him were kind of at war because he was just so full of shit. And he's trying to like threaten me and stuff like that, like over the internet, as if he was going to punch me out. This is coming from a guy. But anyways, but anyways, as he played this clip of my voice, basically on my live that I was talking about him, you know how many people in the comment in his comments didn't even talk about the stuff I was saying. They literally made that comment, Sonny, your Ruth is Sonny could read me a bedtime story. Now, I personally don't think that I have a soothing voice whatsoever. I think I have I don't know. I've been told it many times, but I just feel like I have a raspy, non-angelic voice. I don't really think about what my voice sounds like, but I kind of laugh when people say that because I don't see it myself, that my voice is so soothing that it somehow, put you to sleep or whatever. Does anyone agree with yes, ma'am, on that? How would you guys rate Sonny's voice? Raspy and manly, raspy and soft and soothing? I don't know. I don't really think about that until I see a comment, but I definitely myself wouldn't put myself in that category. I just remember a lot of times back, like when I was it was about a year after the divorce with my ex-husband, and I went on that Plenty of Fish stupid site, and a lot of people kept saying that I sounded like basically a 1-900 voice type of thing, and I'm just like not sure where that's coming from, but I do. It's soothing and softing. Well, go on then. Yes. So when I personally hear my voice, I'm just thinking, shit. I mean, it's definitely gotten a lot raspier over the years, and it's I don't know if it just comes with age, and I used to be a smoker. I vape, but I used to be a smoker. But maybe I don't know. Well, when you want to say something, you can. Yeah, me and Charmaine are a lot of the same way. Is that you have this side of you that's very caring, loving, and loyal. Very much care about people and stuff like that. But if somebody says something that's ignorant and you piss me off, then the other version of Sunny comes out and the big fuck you or something might come out of my mouth. And it's really just because it's kind of like this. I'll just use this as an example. When I was at work yesterday, I was working on, I'll just say I was working on something. And so a phone call came in and I had already tried leaving a message, when the person answered, you couldn't hear them. And so just as I was working on the Excel sheet, the person had called back and I could hear the other agent because I heard her say the first name of the customer and I was like, oh, right. But anyway, so bottom line was I said to her, and normally she doesn't do this, but she said something like, you just work on your part and I'll work on the part that I just took care of. And I gave that look like, excuse me? Like fucking snappy much? Kind of caught me off guard because her husband is more like that. But she isn't. So I just like, in my head, all I'm thinking is like, I don't need your fucking dude, because that's what it came off like, right? And so I get offended by that because it's like, I'm literally just asking you. And then so I turned around and said, I'm literally just asking you, are you going to fill out the Excel sheet then? Right? But it was the tone. And whenever somebody has tone, because when I'm at work or even I only give tone. No, that's not true. Sometimes if I am in a rarely bad mood, I could give my husband some tude sometimes. But I know that I'm not that person at work in my regular life to go out of my way to be a bitch or to be ignorant to somebody. But if I feel it coming at me, you're definitely going to bring up the other Sunny in me, the one that says, fuck you. I didn't speak to you ignorantly and I don't expect to be talked to ignorantly. And that's the same way I feel about in chat. If I see these ignorant comments like that Missy mom the other night saying, are you going to let your guests speak? Well, bitch, why don't you hold your own fucking channel then? Why don't you not watch the live? Because I clearly had to give some details about the timeline of the case before. So Alexa knew exactly what, the timeline was in a sense, and that then we could go to her. But when you see a comment like that, all that goes through your head is, fuck you. If you think you can do such a great job, go fucking open up your own channel or get the fuck out of mine. One of the two things go through my head because I think that's just so rude to sit there and say, are you going to let the guest speak? Right? It's my fucking channel. If I want to talk 90%, 5% of it, nobody has to watch if they don't want to. It's still my damn channel at the end of the day. But it's just when I see that type of ignorance, yeah, I get pissy because I just don't walk around life being a bitch to people, right? But I'll certainly give it back just because I don't need to put up with ignorance. So that's my thing on that one. That's the other Sunny voice. The same person was bashing you in the other channel, for fuck's sakes. It really is truly laughable, to be honest with you. Like, I really do. Like, there's times that I wanted to type and be like, oh, really? You don't talk about my weight or my looks, Like, fuck off, dude. It's like, thanks, thanks that you don't do that. Would I even give a fuck if you did? No. Because do I care? Really? No. I find it actually more comical, to be honest with you. But I mean, because it just shows what a douche, he is. So it just goes with his personality. So they match. I I think the biggest laugh I had was when I know I was saying that Anita, her vocal chops or whatever. And then she made a comment on Mike's channel, of course, like, oh my God, and that voice of Sonny's, oh, like if I had like type of thing. And I'm just like, you are truly the pot calling the kettle black on that one, Anita. But anyways, thanks for the dig, but it's probably because I took a dig on you. So all good, but I just know that your voice is nothing. It would that your voice, if I was with you as a partner, which sorry for Jamie, you would bleed my eardrums. Like seriously. If there's this pitch that happens. And the way when she's talking, it's almost like someone with like a nasal thing going, Mikey, listen, this is vital, Mikey. You need to listen. And it's just, that's why I had to leave when Janie and her were going at it, but whatever. Do you think Malaya was preparing to leave Daniel before the children disappeared? Yes. Multiple times. I don't think it was just the once. I just think that Daniel has really played into, take his statement of, she's trying to blame me for everything. Family Guy, right, Griffin? She's trying to blame everything on me so she doesn't get in trouble. So what does Daniel do? Daniel, and this is, you guys have to remember that there was already things Daniel had said about Malaya, but once time had gone on, he started adding more things, right? About the movement in the kitchen, that nothing was moved, that Malaya's clothes were that she had planned it and had them at Patty's house and all that. Meaning that stuff came afterwards. Right? That's like when somebody has time to think. But she's trying to blame everything on me so she doesn't get in trouble. And that's pretty much the whole route that he took, was blame Haley, blame Malaya, blame her family, point fingers constantly over there. Don't look over here. I'm the one that's talking. I'm the one that's looking for Jack and Lily. I'm the one that's being a voice for Jack and Lily. Don't look at me. Look over to Malaya. So it's like he's doing the exact of what he is saying that Malaya is doing to him, and projecting. And again, there's no need to keep projecting. Again, if you're being truthful, the truth should have more came out than at the start when you were talking. But this was months later that all this shit started getting added. It's almost like little gap fillers, right? And especially when there's inconsistencies in what he was saying. And then it was like someone filling the gaps now. And that's all I've seen is, now what I'm seeing is, Belinda, you're so awesome and great. Thank you for fighting for Jack and Lily. You have to have a positive mindset, and, type of thing. And this Daniel 2.0 person, and then just people going, are you buying this shit and stuff like that? No, I just look at everything that's being said. And I still, like I said to Daniel, it's not because Daniel was talking. It's just that if Daniel wanted to add to anything else that he wanted to talk about, let him. Right? And if it's another discrepancy, then that's on him. And it's kind of like, really, it's like Charmaine, and when he comes up there, it's like, if he wants to speak and wants to come up and say more, whether it's to his downfall or not, that's totally up to him. But I'm not changing my mindset of the actions and the data out there to what is the most likely scenario of what happened to Jack and Lily. And if it is the most likely scenario that the Jack and Lily, something happened to them by the people on the property, then what? What exactly did happen? Where is the truth? Right? Sunny, Shar, Justin, Daphne, I've always been with since day one and hidden in the fog because, yes, the voices are soft, the content is good. When a voice is like sandpaper to my brain, I can't listen. You know, there was, again, I'll say this, there was a point in time where I had come across Mike Dam's channel when he was literally just coming on to the scene of talking about the case. And I was like, just trying to listen to his analytical reasons. But then a little bit of time went on. All of a sudden, all he was doing was bashing people all the time. It wasn't about just the content of analyzing, right? Now he's just a full-blown egotistical maniac that has, basically, and another thing, talking about someone swaying from their own persona when he sits there and says, you guys are the smartest ones in my chat. You guys are so brilliant and so smart. Hey, I'll tell you right now, people, I don't care what you think about him or Mike D or not. Okay. I know a fucking fake personality when I see one. That one. So he projects that this channel is all about fake and not being authentic, right? Okay, whatever. But I don't walk around sitting there going, you guys are the smartest people on YouTube land. No, you know what that is? That's just a suck up brown noser from a YouTuber, basically sitting there going, just donate, give me money, hit the like and the thing. I'm just telling you guys how brilliant you are. No, the only person he thinks is brilliant is himself. Okay. And that's just I can see it clear as day. That's just, not being truthful to who he truly is. And the true him is the actual dick that comes out. That's the true him. But he went from talking about the case and analyzing it just to a big bashing fest, using content and not even listening to anything around it, just acting like he's the best analyst in the world, that he's so much smarter, and stuff like that. Well, dude, again, if you watch my live, that fucking live wasn't an interview with Haley, but you're such a dumbass for that you couldn't be asked to know any of that stuff and sitting there calling your own viewers and that idiots and stuff like that and acting like you're so smart. And then you come around and sit there and say, you guys are all so smart. That's what I love about my community. No, that's just an ass-kissing way to get people to be like, see, I have the nice side too, because he's trying to sometimes portray himself in this better douchebag light, in a sense, than what he truly is like. And it makes me laugh listening to that because I know exactly what he's doing. And whatever, I mean, again, people can do whatever they want. They can suck ass as much as they want to their own viewers and stuff like that. It's either if you buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. But to me, I just find it very comical when somebody is literally trying to be like, okay, maybe I should try to be a little bit nicer. Maybe I should be a little bit nicer. But he can't. He just reverts back to the dick fuck that he is, right? But whatever. Sometimes it was good for a laugh. Now I'm just over the boringness of it all. Anita's batshit crazy. Like on me, which when the neighbor would say Abner can't come and see Abner, remember that voice on there. Yeah, I'm probably way behind now too because of me babbling off there. What do you mean by Ron sure went to town that day? Do you feel he stopped by? I think what he meant by that, unless he answered already, I think what he meant to that was basically like, oh, so 2 children are missing, but Ron sat there and went to town now, didn't he? Obviously really cared. Why is it unsaid a lot of people since the start? I feel like, am I missing? This is the last comment I see. Somebody type in chat for a second. Oh, this came up. And 1 sec. Somebody type in chat for a sec. Yeah, thank you. I just didn't think that I was at the end. I was like, there's no way I'm at the end. I thought I would have to scroll more. Hi. You're caught up on your messages. There we go. Okay, I guess I am. I didn't realize. You know, I truly know I should probably get going right now. I've been, to be honest with you guys, it's kind of like somewhat of a little bit of a lackluster live for me because I really stayed awake way too late last night. And I was like, but somebody had sent me an email and said, you know, we miss you. When are you doing your next live? And I was like, well, I'll do one later. And then I seen Charmaine had come on and I was like, yeah, perfect. Right. I'll go on about 5:30, 5:45 or whatever. But I was up till like probably 6 a.m. watching, I kind of like, I just want to say this. So I used to play poker a lot online, me and my ex did. And I really love Texas Hold'em. I'm kind of one where it's like, when you're playing Texas Hold'em, thank you, Baby Monkey. Super sticker, $3.99. Thank you, Baby Monkey. Oh, wait, I seen your comment. Baby Monkey, I want to go back to that comment. Although I read it because it had popped in, I don't know, I clicked on, I think it came in as I was at work or something like that. But anyways, I'm going to have to disagree about your comment about the live being very disorganized and whatever. I actually end up going back and watching that live. Unless I'm a little bit biased, I didn't feel like it was really that disorganized. With Alexa, I'll say this. So I'm going to disagree with you on that comment, but you can still keep your opinion on that one. Because I went back and listened to it and I was like, no, I mean, it wasn't that bad. So with Alexa, so although we had talked about that she was going to do a live on the 23rd, many, many times, I don't know if Alexa's going to make it or not going to make it that day. So that's why I specifically have to ask her, like, I'm going to put your face on the thumbnail. So are you sure we're doing the live? Because, sometimes just shit happens, right? And so I never try to pre-plan because I know with Alexa that it could easily be a last minute change. I didn't really talk to her too much about the case. At the time, she was especially very busy, like meaning when the case actually happened. She was helping running her dad's company and she has 2 children, her husband, and health issues and different things like that, right? So anyways, when Alexa came on, I was like the night before, I was like, okay, sweet. Okay. So, we are doing this, right? So I didn't ask, but I had sent Alexa some stuff, but, I didn't honestly know, even I still don't. I don't know exactly how much she does know about Jack and Lily's case. And that's hence why I wanted to start off with the timeline, about the timeline at the start, so that she had a sense of kind of how it was, put out there about the timeline. Because again, I sent her some videos and she was on the plane and stuff like that. So although it wasn't like, I'm more of a YOLO type of person, but she'll be on tomorrow. Well, I mean, as long as Alexa, are you watching me right now? Let me see if she's answered me back. Not yet. Hello. What time? Okay. So she says tomorrow, but that could very much change. So that's why when I'm talking with Alexa, it's just like, I want a concrete answer, doing this or no type of thing. But anyways, so yeah, I didn't feel like it was that bad, to be honest with you, at least in my opinion. But anyway, so I just wanted to let you know I did see your comment, but I did go back, and that's actually what made me go back and kind of like listen to it. And I was like, well, it's not that bad. Once I explained the timeline, I was just wanting Alexa, but tomorrow I would like her now to see what more she maybe has paid attention to, and come back more to your guys' questions. And, 11 phone call. While you were off, this came up, and a lot of discussion about this call. Okay, so that call came up when Tint did the video. So that 11 o'clock call came originally when Tint did that video with Wade, and that's when we first heard about it. And then Anita obviously brought it up, and then it became a discussion. But yet that already was a discussion back when it was. But the thing is that we didn't really have much more to say about it besides it was like a memory thing about that 11 o'clock. Because I remember what was strange though was I remember that the only reason why I knew of the 11 o'clock time was because of the video for Wade. And I went back religiously to listen to it over and over. I was like, where the fuck is it? Because I know it was from that video, because Wade's the one that talked about it, about the phone call to Malaya. And I'm sure that that's where, like, who knows what information of Anita's is true. But let's just say that, her and Wade talked about it regardless. And there's certain things, like I said, there's certain things that Anita says that, would make sense. Like if Malaya talked to her mom, typically, her mom called her, between 10 and 11 each night. Sounds about right, usually there's kind of a set time. Kids are maybe sleeping at that point, and mom talks to her daughter type of idea. But anyways, so the only accuracy that we have is because of the fact that Tint said that, and then Anita came out saying that she had talked to Cindy about it. So I don't think it's one of those things where Anita's going, like, hey, I'm just going to repeat something that Wade said on Tint's video, maybe. But so that's about as good as anything that we're going to get about that, unless Cindy herself says it or Malaya herself says it to us. That's probably the closest we're going to get about hearing about that 11 p.m. phone call, So it goes into it sounds credible, but we don't have receipts. For DV. Thanks, baby monkey. Wade said that Anita's crazy. Well, I think that Anita has given us proof that she probably fits into that pile. But hey, you know what? It's her life to lead, and if she's under fire and under attack because of her own actions, and same with Daniel or Malaya, then so be it, right? It's a free country, free world. If we have our opinions and want to say something just like they can, we can too on that. I'm just going to go a few more minutes. It's 8:51 on here. So I'll just look at your guys' comments if you have anything to say over the next 9 minutes. And then I'm going to head off, and then hopefully Alexa will message me sometime soon, so I could tell you guys what time the live. She just basically said we can do it earlier while the kids are going to the movies. So we'll see. Yeah, 12:51. Well, at least it's Friday. My days off are Friday and Saturday. And I got one more month. Pretty much one more month. And then I'm off to Alberta to go visit my twin sister. So I'll be leaving on July 2nd. We're going to head up to Alberta, which is about 11-hour drive from where we are. It's our birthday the next day, July 3rd. during that time. So this is the run of how kind of June, but mostly July is. My husband's brother, and he has to leave in August, by the way, back to the UK. His birthday is June 22nd. He's 10 years younger than his brother. My husband's 35. He'll be 36. And Ryan is 25, so he'll be 26 on June 12th. My husband's birthday then goes into June 22nd, which is the cusp, and he's a Cancer as well. Then it's my birthday, July 3rd, and my twin sisters. Then my brother, his birthday is actually July 9th, but whatever. It's not like I talk to him anyway, but happy birthday, brother, or whatever. Anyways, and he's for 6 days, me, my brother, and my twin are all the same age. So basically on July 3rd, when me and my twin turned 57, my brother is 57 until 6 days later. So, but anyways, so we're going from July 2nd, and I return back to work on like the 19th. And but so while we're there, it's my niece is expected to have her first child, somewhere around July 7th, 8th, 9th. It's mine and my husband's 11-year wedding anniversary on July 11th. And then it's Haley, my niece, the one that's having the child. It's her birthday, July 15th, on that. Now, I am hoping that on the way back, I can go visit Charmaine. We'll see how that goes. I'm not exactly sure where. I'd have to look up the address to where the drive is. But anyways, I'm hoping to visit Charmaine on the way back, because we've never met in person, right? Just whatever. Good night, TJZ mom. And so then, so there's a lot that's going on there in the time frame that we're there and stuff like that. So whatever. It's been a minute since we've been back up to Alberta. So been about 6-7 years now there. But that's when my twin had moved last October, was to well, I'll just say in Alberta there. But anyways, so yeah, so another month pretty much. And then and you won't really see me do too many lives over the next couple of weeks at all, because I'm on my 12 to 8 shift coming up. Actually, I only because they asked me, and I on Thursday, so I ended up working from 12 to 8 instead of 9:30 to 5:30. So on Thursday, yesterday, I worked till 8. But anyways, I'm coming into my 2 weeks of my 12 to 8 shifts. So I don't. Obviously, there's no room for live. So if I get one in, maybe on the weekend, I do. So hopefully I'll get one in at least. So maybe I might get in 2 lives in the next 2 weeks besides tomorrow, just because obviously I'm sorry, I'm not waking up early to do a live before work. I'd rather much be sleeping. And I'm not doing one typically when I get home at 8 o'clock at night and then try to get a live ready. I'd rather just face plant the bed typically and then watch different shit on my iPad and chill out. But anyway, so just FYI, if you don't see too many lives, it's definitely for that reason. And yeah, that was a lovely drive through Salmon and back to Van. I'm in the island. Yeah, it's if I'm not sure, is there anyone that's watching right now that has never come to British Columbia at all, or been through the beautiful drive from BC to Alberta? Salmon Arm is where they have the houseboats. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous, breathtaking through and through. The mountains, the trees, the scenery. Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's just a gorgeous drive, and that's probably, if you're going through Saskatoon, you're looking at fucking like barley and whatever and shit, right? And it's boring and flat. But doing the drive from like BC to Alberta and that, or going up through there, it's just absolutely gorgeous and scenic. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kemi. I needed the break, to be honest with you. I really did. Yeah, I just really did need a break from all that stuff and that. But I'm also glad to be back by the same token, you know, just to talk about Jack and Lily's case and, you know, come hang out with the homies from the channel that, you know, I mean, I get it, you know, but we all need to do what we need to do. You know, to whenever I feel off balance and I'm not taking care of myself, right? Which I typically never really thought about that so much, but I definitely know that you just need to have balance, you know, in the life. And I'm not going to say I'm perfectly balanced because I'm not, you know, just like my husband. He's not perfectly balanced either because most times he's gaming and I got to be like, hey, husband, give me some time, you know? Right. And that's halftime. That's when I actually was doing lives a lot just because he was always gaming because that was his way of not, you know, when you just don't want to think about life and, you know, so when I'm painting and stuff like that, you just kind of remove yourself from the reality of the world and that. But yeah, anyways, it was a nice break. I wasn't sure when I was coming back. I didn't even expect, to be honest, I didn't even think that I was going to take a break. You know, I knew it just kind of kept going. And I was just like, yeah, you know, I just kept thinking about doing a live and I was like, no, I just don't feel like it because that's how I felt a lot of it. We took a break. That really wasn't much. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the gist of it was that I just kind of needed a break, but there was nothing like, there was just nothing really going on. And so if I feel like that is just kept regurgitating the same shit, that just doesn't entice me. You know, I have to always feel in my heart that I want to do a live. And that's why it just kind of kept going. You know, next thing I know, it was over 2 months. And I'm like, and it was really because of the 1 year anniversary and being on Char's live and stuff like that. Well, thank you. I'll still show you. Hold on. Where's my media? Where's my media? 1 second here. I think it's up here. I'd still say that whoops, I'm behind the screen now. 1 second. Is this? No, I need a little peekaboo. I still think that, 1 second, I gotta take this off screen. This is one of my favorite paintings that I did. It sits in my one boss's office. He has it, and he has another one. But that one, I just love the colors. And honestly, the paintings, when you see them here, they just really don't do them justice to when you actually are visually looking at them. Because it's kind of like, yeah, the pictures just never truly do the paintings the justice what they look like. And this one was like another one of my favorites. And my boss has 3 winter scenes from me, Christmas. So she has the train. She has a big Christmas tree that's pink and whatever. But what I thought was cool about when painting this one, and don't get me wrong, like the paintings are typically I'm looking at YouTube and I'm going like, and you just see paintings, you know, or tutorials and you're like, oh, let me try that one. But I always think what's cool about this one is when you're looking at a painting and it literally looks like a reflection in the water, right? You know, of the cabin. And then you see, right? So it's the fact that you create that type of, you know, feeling when you're looking at a painting. Because there's this one painting that's, 1 second here. There's this, hold on. How come that's not coming down? Hold on. I think I got to take it away from here. Whoops. There we go. Banner. I will put this banner around. I have this one painting that I had given my friend to put over her desk. And every time I look at it, instantly I just fall in love with the reflection on that painting, no matter how many times I look at it. And I just keep looking at how realistic the reflection looks because it always catches my eye. Anyways, around the office, pretty much almost most people have a painting in their office. Some have 2, some have 3. Most people have 2 or 3, to be honest with you. I just find painting relaxing, and I wish I could do it more. But I have to do it behind me, right? My husband always puts this big board behind me. That was something that he used on his wall when he had like soundproofing stuff. But anyways, so I'll get him to lay the big whiteboard on the bed, and then I create this fucking massive mess around me throughout the night, with paints here, paints there, paints here, water there, and then it ends up being like a big cleanup at the end of it. Like, I'm the type of person that I could have like 100 brushes, and I have probably more. And I literally will probably use like half of those brushes, type of thing. And it's just like, every time you have to clean those things, you're like, fuck sakes. So you got to clean them all because if they dry, then they're too hard, blah, 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 blah. But cleaning off the easel thing as well. But anyways, so I'd probably do it more if I had actually more proper room to do it in. So I just do it sometimes. Anyways, you guys, it's like I feel like I don't want to go, but yet by the same token, I'm tired, and I'm gonna go. I don't know. Charmaine, what does she have there? One sec. She sent me. I know she was trying to play something. Was it a song at the end? One sec. Oh, it's an AI video. Stop screen. Share screen. Well, as long as there's no copyright to the song.
Nita, tell us why you are lying. Why are you ruining people's lives? What do you have to gain? You are used to making a complete fool of yourself. You should sit down, close your eyes, and have a glass of wine or gin. You say you don't drink, but you slur and says you haven't had it again. Maybe have some Coca-Cola. You say you've never tried it, but yet you say you love it. Better yet, take your Mercedes for a spin.
That's kind of funny.
Doing undone taming. On 40 story will change again. Past 3, 4, 5 cars more flash that ring, that $13 bling. Go look after your man instead of hanging out online telling tall tales and sniffing lines. And Nita, tell us why you are lying. Why are you ruining people's lives?
AI.
What do you have?
Is that it? I think that was it. that it? Yeah, that was it. 205. Yeah, totally AI, okay? Now, I've seen pictures of her. I'm not going to sit there and say that she's an ugly duckling or nothing like that. But again, beauty is only skin deep, but ugly is to the bone on that one. Taken 35 years ago. Yeah, like, that does not look like. Is that supposed to be Jamie or Mike Damon? Not. I didn't even know what I was playing until it played, to be honest with you. Don't even know where it came from. But, you know, I remember Ninchi. Actually, where's that? I remember that Ninchi did one. Being facetious. Okay. I know that Ninchi had done one with Daniel that one day. Let me see if Ninchi. Ninchi True Crime. Let's see here. It was a video. Does she still have it up? This one right here. One sec. Whoops, took myself off the screen. Stop screen. Share screen. Daniel thinks she's beautiful too. With the drones. Yeah, with the drones. Thought that one was quite just ninchies. Daniel's drone delay.
Outside to build a fence so tall, the cars are parked and watching me. They speed away when I step out the door. They take my pics and videos galore. Drones are buzzing high above my place, yet none appear online to show their face. No one sees my mom making the ground, just silent lights without a sound. It's like Christmas up in the sky, lights of every color shining bright. They flock to watch me every night, hoping for a glimpse or a fight.
If Daniel saw it.
I run so fast they can't keep up. They chase me through the wasted slush. Every night it's all the same. Do they even know my name? It's like Christmas up in the sky, lights of every color shining bright.
It made me really laugh.
Touch me every night, hoping for a kiss or a fight. In my mind, the drones are friends, red and white and blue they blend. Watching out to keep me safe, but who's behind this endless chase? It's like Christmas in the sky, lights of every cloud getting bright. They fight to watch me every night, hoping for a glimpse of fight.
Okay, I think I missed that part originally. One second.
In my mind, the drones are friends, red and white and blue they blend. Watching out to keep me safe.
Yeah, that part where I think isn't that like Rob McMahon McMahon or whatever, sitting there with the drone. I'm pretty sure that looks like him in there. That one gave me a good laugh because I wasn't really expecting Ninchi to put out like a video like that, but I mean that did make me laugh. Because if I'm correct, didn't Daniel say that those drones like basically watch him to keep an eye, like, but protect him type of thing? That the drones in the sky and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that that's what he was referring to. Okay. If there's drones, they're watching you. But it's not for that reason. I think it's time for bed. My diamond painting. I can't see what I'm typing. Have a good night, Sonny. Have a good night, Tom Lou. I know I'm going to head off here, but let's put up Jack and Lily. If you haven't hit that like and the share, here, I'll put myself back up proper. If you haven't hit that like and the share, please do. Of course, Jack and Lily, anyone from the missing and the murdered. It's always good to hit that like or hit that share for the missing and the murdered. Keep them out in the awareness. And thank you guys all for being here. And just quickly, so Little Black Bear, 3 months. Leslie became a member. Little Black Bear, $1.49. Super sticker. Colleen for 9 months with the channel. And then Baby Monkey did a $3.99 super sticker. So just want to say thank you guys for that. But again, most importantly, if you guys could hit that like and share for Jack and Lily. And yeah, and then I just have to wait for Alexa to message me probably tomorrow. And then, of course, I'll post a live as long as it goes through. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, you guys, good night all. You guys have a great night and God bless. Okay. And I'm just going to end the stream. I'm not even going to play an outro or anything like that. Or maybe, do I have an old outro? My old outro that I haven't really played in a long time. Can I have that? Yeah, let's do that one.
A Norfolk night, the world is cold. We stand surrounded, we are not alone. Within my reverie, there's holy light. Without an unknown, we stand and fight.